Now, remember, you can always be part of this live broadcast. We are using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle is at KBC Channel 1. Our individual handles ever remain to be at Dorina Range, at Victor Olo, at Ray Manyara, and at Jane Wamboi. And today, as you may have already noticed, I will be sitting in for Regina Manyara. And now we get started with the GMK News Brief, where former Sports Cabinet Secretary, that is Hassan Wario, has been found guilty of misuse of public funds in the Rio 2016 Olympics. Wario and a former National Olympic Committee of Kenya, that is Deputy Treasurer Stephen Arap Soy, they were found guilty by the Anti-Corruption Court for abuse of office and embezzlement of public funds. Wario will now be detained at the Gigiri police station until Thursday, when he will be sentenced.
Former Sports CS Hassan Wario becomes the first high-ranking cabinet secretary to be found guilty by a court of law in the post-2010 constitution. Wario will spend the night at Gigiri police station to await his sentence on Thursday. The former Sports CS was found guilty alongside former NOC Deputy Treasurer Stephen Arap Soy.
The accused persons had the responsibility to guard the funds to wastage. They failed to do so. The socioeconomic impact of their action meant that the accused persons mismanaged in Kenya, leading to loss of public funds, equally demoralizing the athletes who could not access the funds in no time in preparation for the games.
Chief Magistrate Elizabeth Juma said the court had proven Wario had a role in the embezzlement of funds allocated to the National Olympic Committee of Kenya (NOC) to oversee the welfare of Kenyan representatives to the 2016 Games in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. According to the court, 88.6 million shillings meant to buy air tickets for team members was instead taken by ministry officials.
Number one was payment of allowance. Number two, inclusion of 4 medical persons. There was also double payment of NOC officials. The tickets were procured, paid for, but not utilized.
4 other officials who had been charged alongside the two, who include former PS Richard Ekai, Haron Komen, Francis Paul, and Patrick Kimathi, were acquitted of all charges for lack of sufficient evidence. Elsewhere, former Kemri boss Davy Koech has been ordered to pay a fine of 19.6 million shillings after he was convicted and found guilty of fraudulently acquiring public property. Anti-corruption magistrate Victor Wakumile, in his judgment, found the former boss guilty of corruptly acquiring 19.6 million shillings belonging to the Kenya Medical Research Institute in 2006, money earmarked for research.
Before this honorable court, that they be allowed to pay the fine which the prosecution, Your Honor, has an issue with in installments.
Now, private health facilities will now begin administering privately procured COVID-19 jabs to Kenyans free of charge, all in an effort by the government to increase its vaccination points nationwide and capture more people. The Ministry of Health, through the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, that is KEPSA, is also set to supply private companies that are willing to have their staffs vaccinated with the jab at affordable costs. Piri Museo has the details.
The government's plan to vaccinate 10 million people against COVID-19 by the end of this year and 30 million by 2020 received a major boost as the Kenya Private Sector Alliance KEPSA now commits to partner with the Minister of Health in ensuring more people are inoculated against the deadly COVID-19.
Where there's been increased vaccination, the economies are rebounding much easier, much better, and we're seeing more jobs getting created. We're seing less deaths, less sick people, and we thought we could play a part as private sector.
We do intend to conduct the vaccination in the private sector in phases. We've just commenced on the first phase. As Carol has shared, we have good reception, good numbers coming in. We are optimistic that we'll be able to hit our targets.
KEPSA Chief Executive Officer Carol Kariuki reassuring free vaccination services for all workers in the private sector.
Vaccines are free of charge. Remember, the companies are putting the money together to vaccinate the employees and the employees' families, and some of it going to the communities around. So it's the companies that are paying, but the employees and their members of their families are getting free of charge.
To scale up the vaccination drive, the Minister of Health has further identified a number of private hospitals in the country that will administer the jab to Kenyans free of charge.
They are actually privileged. We have Nairobi Women's Hospital, but we have Avenue, Metropolitan, Nairobi Women's, MP Shah, Gertrude's, Meridian, and Karen Hospital. Those are the first ones that we are working with right now, and others will join in as we go along.
Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Mercy Mwangangi, who spoke during official rollout of private sector's COVID-19 vaccination drive, further said the ministry was considering supplying the Johnson & Johnson jabs to pastoralist counties owing to their migration tendency.
J&J is a special vaccine because we are considering having it allocated to perhaps migrant communities, distant communities where people may have challenges coming for their second dose. And so there's a bit of logistic planning that has to happen in that area. There's a bit of, rationing of doses that we need to do so that we don't also have issues of expiry.
She expressed concern over no second jab uptake by Kenyans, warning it would predispose them to health complications posed by the pandemic.
Those who have 2 doses are seemingly more protected, particularly when it comes to ICU admissions, the need for oxygen, and severity of disease.
Kenya has already vaccinated close to 3 million people, with AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, and Moderna being the available vaccines. Sinopharm and Pfizer vaccine doses are expected in the country before the end of September.
Now, as the serious drought situation continues to afflict families in 10 counties in the country, a community group in Wajir County is reaping the benefits of farming in the desert. The group of 10 members called NAS, relocated 6 kilometers in the outskirts of Wajir town, has embarked on vegetable farming, that is, which includes kales and spinach, bringing out a contrary picture of the prevailing harsh conditions in the region that they're currently facing.
Wajir is among the counties most affected by the ongoing drought, with herders forced to drive their animals far in search of pasture. Unlike in the past, water is available in various community boreholes. But the commodity has to be ferried close to the animals, as far as 50 kilometers away, because they are too weak to return for the drink. With the government having declared the drought a national disaster, communities are coming together like never before in concerted efforts to reduce losses through livestock deaths. Against all odds, Nursery Farmers Group has managed to plant a variety of vegetables ranging from kales, spinach and capsicum.
Hii shamba unaiona, mara ya kwanza tulikuwa tunabeba kama haba 10. Na kifungo kimoja kinauza shilingi 50. Haba 10 ni shilingi 500. Lakini sahi tunaiuza, tunapeleka kama haba 20 kwa soko, tunapata shilingi 1000. Hiyo 1000 transport ndio utalipa ya gari. Because hapa tuko almost 5 kilometer kwa town.
Funded by the government through the Kenya Development Response to Displacement Impacts Project, the group says the crop has come in handy during this dry season.
Tunaona manufaa mzuri sana, tunatoa mboga hapo, tunauza soko. Zingine tunapeana hata tunauzwa baswene.
Amid the difficult conditions, the group, through a community-based agronomist, has found ways to sustain remarkable farming in unlikely conditions.
We can use the drip irrigation, whereby that drip irrigation, it gives the plant direct to the root system. So there's no, you will going to reduce the excess water that you are using before, so that you save the leakage of the nutrient.
Despite the thriving crops standing out in this arid area, human-wildlife conflict still remains a major challenge, with animals such as giraffes invading their farm on several occasions.
The church is now standing firm on its decision to ban politicians from propagating politics at the pulpit. The Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops maintains places of worship are sacred and should not be used as platforms for self-aggrandizement. The Catholic Church is also calling on President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, that is Deputy President William Ruto, to mend fences for the greater good of the country.
The Catholic Church has banned with immediate effect political speeches inside the church and within the celebration of its masses. KCCB incoming chairperson Archbishop Martin Kivuva said the church will no longer recognize politicians, saying places of worship are sacred and not platforms for mobilizing political support.
Sometimes we invite politicians to talk to the public, but not in the church though, nje ya mazingira ya kanisa. Kwa sababu pale pana sababu zake. Ni kama vile uende kupiga siasa hospitalini. Hata wagonjwa wataamka bwana atatoroka. So let's agree, where is the space for what?
Nyeri Archbishop Anthony Muheria saying the church is concerned about the president and his deputy's rocky relationship as it was causing anxiety among Kenyans.
We call upon the president and the deputy president to seek ways of reconciling and working together for the sake of the unity of our country. As church leaders, we are ready to step in and mediate a working arrangement between the two leaders.
Outgoing Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops Bishop Philip Anyolo urged the political elite to stop the debate of trying to remove IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati as the country nears general election.
We urge the Commission to move with speed and put in place in good time the necessary systems and processes to ensure free and fair elections. The process of hiring a new CEO must also kick off to ensure no room is left for doubting the competency and integrity of IEBC.
Meanwhile, the National Council of Churches of Kenya has banned politics in member church sanctuaries, a move it says will restore sanity and the integrity of the altar. NCCK General Secretary Canon Chris Kinyanjui insisting that as the church, they will not back down in standing for what is right.
The church and the sanctuaries and places of worship are not going to become places where politics is going to be spewed every Sunday, where people come and when they are given a chance to greet, instead of preaching unity, instead of preaching hope, they start, spreading their campaign message.
Now, opposition leader Raila Odinga says his quest to lead this nation is driven by the need for unity and stability. Speaking at Ngecha Shopping Center in Limuru, Kiambu County, Raila said Kenya is yet to realize its vision of its founding father, which included, among others, fighting poverty and diseases.
Raila, who was in Ngecha Shopping Center in Limuru, Kiambu County, said it is a mission to ensure that the country remains united, peaceful, and economically stable in the post-2022 elections. The opposition leader said Kenya is still struggling to deal with issues that were bedeviling this nation 57 years ago, yet his peers across the globe made significant strides.
Tunataka kuleta Kenya ambayo kuna usawa. Waanzilishi wa taifa letu walisema wanataka Kenya ambayo iko na haki. Ndio sababu kwa mji wetu ya taifa tunasema Mungu bariki nchi yetu ya Kenya. Haki iwe ngao na mlinzi. Tukae kwa ndugu, amani na uhuru. Sababu tulisema tubadilishe mwendo.
Elsewhere, businessman Jimmy Wanjigi, who has shown interest in seeking the presidency through the ODM party, has termed the move by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority to further burden Kenyans with high cost of fuel as shameful. Wanjigi, who spoke after a meeting with the business community from Ruiru and Githurai in Ruiru town, said it was disheartening to burden Kenyans with high cost of fuel at this most difficult time.
This is the highest shame on earth. The food cost, food basket ya Mkenya, yani bei ya chakula, bei ya mafuta. In the world, that is the second highest cost.
Senators are now demanding disciplinary action against 4 media outlets which allegedly published manipulated video recordings of the Senate proceedings contrary to provisions of the standing order. In the controversial video which went viral on Tuesday evening, Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata attended part of the sitting virtually but is portrayed to have allegedly logged in from a pub, a claim which he denies. Ben Chumba has more details.
Speaker, I'm there.
Where?
Mr. Speaker.
Oh, okay.
Online.
Where are you?
I'm in my office, Mr. Speaker.
No. That's not an office, Senator Kang'ata. I'm sorry, we can't allow that.
The original video of Tuesday's Senate proceedings, which senators say was manipulated to discredit Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ata.
It appears somebody manipulated yesterday's Senate proceedings and gave a false voicing over which inserted somebody purportedly saying that I was seated in a certain bar.
First of all, manipulate numbers. You manipulate a voice. The next time, they are going to manipulate you. They are going to show you without clothes, but with your voice. That's how dangerous it is. The live recording of KBC to be released and circulated to these offending media houses to replace the fake news that is circulating in a viral manner.
During Wednesday's sitting, Kang'ata dismissed the allegations and demanded that editors of 4 media outlets be summoned before the Powers and Privileges Committee of the Senate.
Speaker Sabina Joy is a notorious dirty place in the history of Nairobi from time immemorial. It is not just a bar. And it's a house of sin, Mr. Speaker.
Once they picked up that story, they gave it legitimacy. You have the power to punish the editors of those 4 media stations.
Senators further want the media organizations barred from covering parliament proceedings for flouting the standing orders. Senate Speaker Ken Lusaka will rule on the matter next week.
I want to ask you to allow me to make a detailed ruling on Tuesday, and I was saying the ruling is going to serve as an example to other media houses who manipulate or want to play around with the proceedings.
Learning at the Multimedia University ground to a halt after lecturers downed their tools demanding payment of salary arrears. Secretary of the Kenya University Staff Union Multimedia University Chapter, that is Gilbert Koech, has said they will not resume duty until the institution settles their arrears.
The industrial dispute has subjected students to anguish as they mull over postponement of their graduation ceremony. The university's Vice-Chancellor Ambassador Professor Festus Kaberia said that the staff dues were being processed, insisting that the right procedure of settling the dispute must be followed.
They were to follow in paying the arrears. In our particular case, we got 85.6, which the Local Implementation Committee sat and distributed using SRC formula.
Meanwhile, a family of a Class 5 pupil in Banja Hamisi sub-county in Vihiga County is crying for justice after their son was allegedly sodomized by a local pastor. According to the victim's mother, Chemtai Ruto, her 11-year-old son had been defiled several times by the pastor and threatened against reporting the incident to anybody.
Naomba tu kwa sio kwa ubaya, lakini nataka mnisaidie haki yangu. Nimenyimwa haki, mnisaidie.
In Kakamega, Area County Commissioner Pauline Dollar has vowed that the government will step up crackdown on counterfeits. The commissioner promising a tough approach on both the consumers of illegal substances and their suppliers, which is intended to put an end to supply and distribution of illicit products.
We are aware that a lot of criminal activities are carried out after taking drugs or illicit booze. So we are appealing to the public to help us, give us information so that we can be able to nab those that are selling these items.
Elsewhere, Meru Deputy Governor Titus Ntuchio has on Wednesday flagged off a consignment of drugs worth 73 million shillings that is expected to at least serve the first quarter of the financial year. This comes even as drivers and residents from Meru County express their disappointment to the government for the high cost of fuel.
This was now ensure that we have adequate for this quarter, and our health workers now will be comfortable because now we have plenty for the remaining 1 quarter of the year. And to the members of the public, let's use our facilities, and we want to thank you because you have been coming to get services in our various facilities in the Meru County. And for our health workers, let's continue taking care of our people just the same way we have been doing it.
The same sentiments echoed by public service vehicle operators in Lower Eastern, who threatened to down their tools if the government will not rescind its decision to hike fuel.
Kuna uwezekano ya kwamba tutatangaza nauli mpya kwa route tofauti ili tuweze kuendelea kwa biashara.
Na sasa naona tunafinyirwa sababu bei ya mafuta kupanda. Sasa tunaomba serikali iteremshie mafuta sababu sasa ikiendelea hivyo hata fare yenyewe itapanda, na ikipanda mwananchi wa kawaida ndiye anaumia.
Ninataka kuteremka nguvu saa hii. Sasa hawa kama mafuta imepanda wataongezea nini nauli, na sisi kama abiria tutaweza hiyo nauli. Kwa hivyo naomba serikali ifunguze kidogo, ikiwafunguzia bei nao watatufunguzia.
Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka has summoned Petroleum Cabinet Secretary John Munyes and his energy counterpart Charles Keter to appear before senators on Tuesday next week to explain the high fuel prices. In a directive, Lusaka said the two cabinet secretaries have to appear in person to field questions from all senators. This comes just hours after the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority increased fuel prices to record highs that has been criticized by the public.
On Tuesday evening, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority announced record high fuel prices that has been criticized by the private sector and members of the public who say it will drive up the cost of living.
Our value chain is very dependent on transport. So whether it's the cost of an air ticket, whether it's the cost of delivering cabbages to your hotel, whether it's the cost of transporting that guest from here to the safari circuit, so the impact will be very huge.
Wednesday afternoon, Kericho Senator Aaron Cheriot raised the issue in Senate, seeking to have Energy Cabinet Secretary and EPRA appear before the Senate to explain the high cost of petroleum products in the country.
If you consider the price of fuel as it docks in Mombasa vis-a-vis the price that Kenyans pay at the pump station, which tells you that the bulk of the payments that we are making as Kenyans is actually taxes.
Back in 2013, the cost of fuel in this country was 67 shillings. Now, 135 shillings a litre. Seriously. And the salaries of most people have not gone up. What are we saying?
I could not even send my driver somewhere because the power, the electricity, the fuel bill is so high that even whoever is earning whatever amount of money cannot afford it anymore. What about these people who are at the grassroots, who cannot manage even to put food on the table?
An increment of fuel, the matatu owners normally transfer the burden to passengers, to border passengers, and many others, Mr. Speaker.
And Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka made a ruling.
Honorable Senators, this is a thorny matter, but I want to give this direction that the Committee on Energy will spearhead invitation of the ministry and all the other stakeholders But order. They will summon the minister on Tuesday, and the whole house is invited to be here, and the meeting must be held here on Tuesday next week. It's so directed.
Following the presentations that have come from the floor, particularly from Senator Cheriot and Senator Nyamunga, that you invite the twin ministers of petroleum and energy, so that they can also answer questions on the issue of escalating electricity costs in this country, so that we can deal with both petroleum and electricity, energy and petroleum. Senator Munez and Charles Keter, both former senators.
Actually, it's the twin ministries, Minister of Petroleum and the Minister of Energy. And the CSS must appear in person. It is so directed.
Now, it is exactly 7 a.m. It is that time we take our first breather, but do stay with us. We'll be right back to continue with all that we have lined up for you. Stay with us.
Marriage is quite serious and not to be taken lightly. Therefore, I refused.
You have to give your daughter a chance to make her own decisions.
Yes, I like him. Yes, I like him. I like him so much he makes me go crazy.
If you want to be respected here in my house, you have to show respect. Are we clear on that?
I believe that we should take revenge on one of that man's daughters.
I want to make this very clear, that neither Elias nor you will get to decide when or where I'm getting married. Is that clear to you? No, I'm not going to marry Elias.
He is born!
Joseph, the exalted one.
Do you think you were given that gift?
What gift?
Does God really want to reveal the future to you in your dreams, brother?
Rachel! Rachel, my sister! Forgive me.
Joseph has blinded our father and stole your rightful place beside him. We must get rid of him at once.
If only we could, Simeon.
Why can't we? We need only to be alone with that traitor. Then we finish him off!
Yes!
Tayari bibi, vita na vianze.
Leo, kwa uongozi wako niko tayari.
Kama una maneno ya kuniambia niambie. Huna nenda.
Hivi nikuulize wewe, wanichukuliaje wewe? Nina wazimu mimi?
Hilo ndilo swali nataka mimi na wewe tujadili.
Na yeye mwenyewe alia nini? Hana hata paka.
Si ndio hivyo?
Tuenda kuketi na kufunga macho tena.
Na kupeleka leo mahali pazuri sana.
Kenya's journey to industrialization has been long and tedious. Since 1954, when the colonial government formed the East African Colonial Commission to try and attract more investment into the agriculture sector, to Sessional Paper number 2 of 1996 on industrial transformation, this has been indeed a long journey.
We can't walk away from the journey of industrialization in Kenya. Whatever challenges we have faced, whatever environment that we find ourselves in, it is a worthy focus and goal.
This week on Inside Government, we talk industrialization matters. CS Betty Minor right here on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. We continue with the GMK News Brief, and still on some business news. Tala Oil has redesigned its crude oil development project in Kenya that will see the company invest an additional 340 billion Kenya shillings. The company says the increase in expected capital expenditure is due to the additional wells that will be drilled and a larger diameter crude oil export pipeline. As Habib Said narrates, Tala Oil which is scouting for a strategic investor, projects to mine 585 million barrels of crude oil in Kenya.
Tula Oil started operations in Kenya in the year 2010 and in early 2012 announced that it had struck crude oil in Turkana. The company has been in the market scouting for a strategic investor and hopes to seal such a deal before the final investment decision is submitted to the government before the end of this year. In its first half investor briefing, the company says it plans to produce about 585 million barrels of crude oil in Kenya. Tula Oil has also revised crude oil development project for Kenya and projects to invest an additional 340 billion shillings in its upstream activities as well as the pipeline between Turkana and Lamu. In a statement, the company says the increase in capex from the previous design is due to a bigger facility processing capacity, additional wells to be drilled and larger diameter crude oil export pipeline, which delivers 30% increase in resources whilst lowering the unit cost to $22 per barrel from the previously $31 per barrel. It says the revised development concept allows greater flexibility in adding oil fields into production without significant modification to the project's infrastructure. The firm has announced that the 825-kilometer pipeline that will transport the crude oil from Turkana to the port of Lamu will be heated and buried to avoid any disruption in the long term. Further, Tula Oil plans to carry out more exploration drilling in the blocks 10BB and 13T licenses, as well as exploring potentials in blocks 10BA and 12B.
The Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority has entered into a collaboration with the Office of the Auditor General to identify unclaimed assets in public institutions and have them surrendered to the authority. Under the deal, the Auditor General will ascertain the extent that public agencies have been reuniting unclaimed financial assets with the rightful owners, as well as identify and surrender them to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Here are the details of this and other details in our corporate briefs.
A survey done in the year 2018 estimated that 241 billion shillings in unclaimed financial assets was still unreported to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority by public agencies and private firms. The report showed that about 477,112 public and private entities hold these assets in their books. To help unearth unclaimed assets in public institutions, the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority has signed a deal with the Office of the Auditor General to identify unclaimed assets and have them surrendered. Meanwhile, 214 farmer groups in Kericho County have received 116 million shillings in grants from World Bank in partnership with the government under the Kenya Climate Smart Agricultural Project. In addition, motorcycles have been availed to improve mobility of field agricultural extension officers to reach more farmers as well as support market data collection.
Tumetoa pikipiki. Hiyo pikipiki itasaidia nyinyi sasa, hata vile mayai mumesema mumepata mayai mingi, itasaidia nyinyi kwa marketing.
Finally, potato farmers in Nyandarua County are calling on the government to consider buying the farm produce from the area for distribution to Kenyans facing hunger. The farmers say the recently introduced Irish potato regulations of 2019 has seen traders and transporters avoiding to buy the farm produce that is now rotting in farms.
Si wakulima ndio tumeachiliwa juu, hatuna wakutunulia chakula na ndio kazi yetu, hatuna nyingine. Sasa chakula zetu kimekombana kiko kwa shamba.
We now move on to our sports news, where the Kenya men's deaf football team lost 4-2 to Mali in their second game in the Africa Deaf Olympic Ball Games qualifiers at the Nyayo National Stadium. Now, the loss follows another defeat at the hands of Senegal on Saturday, where Kenya lost 3-1.
The West Africans dominated the game with the keeper Diamane Kamare denying the home team what appeared to be clear chances. It was no business as usual for the home side as Mamadou Koulibaly notched home a close-range shot in the first minute. Mali extended their lead in the 37th minute when striker Nosa Keita Dida headed home a cross from Koulibaly. The Group A match saw the hosts trail 2-0 at the break. The Kenyans piled immense pressure in the second half, forcing 2 quick penalties converted by midfielder Bashir Yahe. The 2 goals appeared to re-energize the home side, but this was short-lived as the Malians netted 2 more goals through Seydou Siloma and Mamadou Koulibaly, who sealed the 4-2 win. This was Kenya's second straight loss after their 3-1 defeat to Senegal.
The national women's volleyball team Malkia Strikers have qualified for the semi-finals of the African National Volleyball Championships. After beating Tunisia by 3 straight sets at the Kigali Arena in Rwanda, the team coached by Paul Bitok easily won the match sets of 25-20, 25-19, 25-21 and boosted the chances to qualify for the World Championships, which will be held in Russia next year. The men's team finished 9th in the tournament. Athletics Kenya Vice Chair Paul Mutui has said it is a blow for Kenyan athletes who were set to feature in next year's World Cross Country Championships in Australia. World Athletics announced postponement of the championships to 2023 due to COVID-19 travel restrictions in Australia.
Upslope on the Musgard Museum, the pace, the speed.
Australia has some of the tightest restrictions in the world aimed at preventing the spread of the novel coronavirus, including limiting the number of arrivals and imposing a mandatory 14-day hotel quarantine on those entering the country. World Athletics said in a statement that the quarantine requirements were not practical for a one-day event.
It's a big blow because, as I said, it's an event that many athletes gauge themselves, use it as a kind of build-up event. It's a very big blow, but then because they have decided on it that way, then we have no option other than accepting it, and then we embark on other kind of exercise and events for the season.
The championships, which had been scheduled for February 19th in Bathurst, New South Wales, would now take place on Feb 18th, 2023 at the same venue. The basketball Lionesses, a traveling squad to the FIBA Women's Afro Basketball Championship that starts this weekend in Cameroon, has been named by the head coach George Mayenga. The squad comprises of Rose Auma, Victoria Reynolds, Natalie Akinyi, Melissa Akinyi, Jemima Knight, Selina Okumu, Georgia Odhiambo, Masi Wanyama, Brenda Wasuda, Velma Owino, Christine Akinyi, and Ivy Opicho. The team leaves the country tonight for Cameroon. Kenya in a group with host Cameroon and Cape Verde. They face Kenya in a Group A with host Cameroon and Cape Verde. They face the host on Saturday, followed by Cape Verde on Sunday. Now, with that, we've come to the end of the GMK News Brief. Thank you so much for being with us this far, but we are not done with Good Morning Kenya. We have so much more lined up for you, and given today is Thursday, we always say Thursday is the new Friday. Hapa ndani ya Good Morning Kenya. But before we get to all that goodness, how about we check in with Traffic Marshal A1, Mrs. O.
All right, so let's quickly look at how the roads are looking like, and we can begin from the University roundabout, trying to check the entire stretch of Uhuru Highway, knowing fully well that this morning we shall just be simply also trying to focus mostly around that particular route. Remember that also along the same stretch, a lot is happening in terms of road construction. The expressway is still continuing as far as that expansion and construction process is happening up until next year of around February, March there. So this morning, just try to check how that is coming along. as well as the traffic flow altogether along that specific route. And perhaps we can begin from the roundabout. This is how it is looking like. Not so bad, given that it's just 15 minutes past 7 a.m. Around those times where mostly roads, especially here in the city center, would be very busy, and it's just usual, obvious reasons. I mean, it's the early morning hour, obviously a lot of activities here in the city center, and specifically also in the CBD or on lanes or roads that are coming to the city center. And this is how the roundabout is looking like, or throughout the entire roundabout. Of course, traffic being witnessed all around the roundabout, but at least a manageable kind of traffic. That's how you're seeing that orange color, which is a clear indicator of that as you branch off from University Way itself, coming all the way to Uhuru Highway. On that section, just at a standstill, not moving at all. On the other side, moving at a very, very slow pace. I mean, this is why I just said it's early morning hours, so clearly what you are seeing is basically what you would expect to see. That in fact is on both lanes, and that is in between the University Way roundabout and Kenyatta Avenue there. That is how the stretch is looking like. But if you are living areas of Thika Superhighway, perhaps City Center, Moi Avenue, coming to this section of University Way, going to the side of State House there, or even Valley Road, this is just the best time for you to do that, because just around this section, no traffic at all, moving at a very, very swift pace. And this is why you're seeing that green color, which just simply indicates that, as well as those alternative routes, the section of Wayaki Way, which is State House Road, as well as Nyerere Road, also not bad at all, moving at a very, very swift pace. Again, living areas of Wayaki Way, just via Uhuru Highway, not so bad as well. So where there's just a bit of a traffic is on that section, or on that lane in between the University Way and Kenyatta Avenue. But also looks like things are opening up, and this is why I keep saying all the time, traffic changes every single second. Just on this section, heavy kind of traffic at a standstill, not moving at all. But right now, at least that is opening up a bit. So yes, heavy kind of traffic, but at least moving at a slow pace, unlike how it was just a minute ago. On the other side, still nothing is changing. Green all through, moving at a very swift pace. So perhaps on this section, which is our focus this morning, which is the University Way, we need not look at any alternative routes, at least as of now, because that's how it's looking like in terms of traffic, just at 17 minutes past 7 a.m.
A weekly health show where we will give you an opportunity to learn about some of the common illnesses and even how to avoid them, to help you make an informed health decision and even get some important information regarding how to improve your health. Every week, you will be joined by health experts within their own field, even as we discuss preventions to health issues. Your Health Show every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. with me, Purity Museo, only on KBC.
曾以为只是寒冷如常的冬天
Everything in the South is already in place. She'll be pushed into a corner.
Something severe must have happened. Otherwise, Prince Chung wouldn't give up the chance to meet with His Majesty.
It's Governor Xu. He's proposing a marriage to Master. Master has already agreed and is going to marry you off to Governor Xu's son.
This marriage will make us much closer. Mr. Hong, this almost feels predestined.
曾以为只是寒冷如常的冬天
Good morning and welcome to the program. Now let's take a look at what's happening on our local dailies here. That is in the headline, and I have two newspapers, The Standard and The Star. Let me start with The Star newspaper. And on the front line, Raila Mount Kenya game plan jolts One Kenya Alliance. That is Oka Chiefs. Raila Mount Kenya game plan jolts Oka Chiefs. ODM party is pushing Odinga to name running mate from the region. And that is what's on the front page of The Star here. And we still have on the front page the pictorials of former sports CS, that is Hassan Wario, when he appeared yesterday before Milimani Law Courts, where he was found guilty of misappropriation of funds during his tenure at that particular ministry. And he spent the night at a police cell, and now he will be sentenced. He will be sentenced in regards to that particular offense that happened, around 54 million shillings in question. And you can take a look at that story as well. Don't try to alter 2022 polling day. Catholic bishops now caution. The Catholic Church has called on the IBC to confirm the date of the next year's general election, rejecting any attempts to alter it. The Church said speculation about the possibility of postponing the polls was, quote-unquote, sending confusing signals and creating needless apprehension. That is what the clergy is saying in regards to the 2022 general election date. Maize harvest to drop by 30% due to poor rain, says PS Boga. The maize harvest this year is expected to drop by 30%. The government has said. Agriculture PS, that is Hamadi Boga, said production for both the long and short rain seasons will go down, and that has to be factored into the nation's food balance sheet. So that is as far as food production is concerned. Matters education. Private school teachers risk losing jobs under CBC. KICD boss says that curriculum will reduce tutors' workload by 20%. Private school teachers could be staring at job losses as the phase out of the 844 syllabus hits the home stretch. The adoption of the competency-based curriculum will see teachers in primary schools teach lesser classes beginning next year as the country faces out the 844 curriculum. Now, currently, only 3 classes in primary school are taking the 32-year-old curriculum. In effect, final class will exit primary school in 2023. All right, that is there. There's a very sad story here. Rather, chopped up body minus head dumped in Nyamira. Yeah, the pieces were in 2 gunny bags tossed out of a speeding vehicle. A man's dismembered body minus the head was tossed in 2 white gunny bags from a speeding car at Konate Junction in Nyamira County. Residents on the busy Kisii-Ikonge Nyamira Road said the vehicle had no registration number, but the bags were tossed out at about 10 p.m. on Monday. Police said the bags contained red and black plastic bags containing body parts of an adult. The head was missing, and the police is now investigating the matter. Okay, before I go to Doreen, briefly on the front page of the Standard, bishops dash to save last of Uhuru Ruto's ties. Catholic bishops have offered to mediate and salvage what is left of the president and his deputy's broken relationship, saying that their difference do not augur well for the country. Again, you can take a look at that story on the front page. Former sports CS Wario guilty of 42 million shillings Rio scam. I beg your pardon, earlier said 54, it's 42 million shillings. CBK boss red alert over debt, and as well as shock anger of high fuel prices. This is something that we will be discussing for the next few days to come. All right, I will give you more details when we continue with the program.
All right, let's come to the front page of the People's Daily, and perhaps you can begin with issues of COVID-19. where there's a report that now shows unvaccinated Kenyans fill up hospitals and ICU beds. In fact, it's just a well-detailed report with the statistics, the figures and numbers there, clearly indicating and just showing how important this vaccine is. Much as for those that have been vaccinated, it's still important to continue adhering to these protocols that have been given. But even at that, still unvaccinated Kenyans are the ones who are filling up hospitals as well as ICU beds, going by that particular article. And also, why efforts to reconcile the president and his deputy have failed, much as religious leaders are trying to get and find better ways to unite them. But just saying that while president complains of being slighted by his deputy, the latter, which is the deputy, accuses his boss of not appreciating the role he played in his election to state out. But the question is it too late to even bring them to unite at this point in time? Had they tried before? And perhaps what has been the challenge of uniting the president and his deputy? And fuel. Brace for tougher times. Experts now warn this goes because of the increase in pump prices, which now put pressure on consumers and drive up costs across all sectors. Clearly, it is the common mwananchi who is now going to feel the pinch and feel the pain, as prices of basic commodities might be expected to go up in just the next few days. And also, former CS faces years in jail over Rio scandal, where the anti-corruption court convicts ex-minister for his role in embezzlement of funds allocated to National Olympic Committee to organize the 2016 Olympic Games in Brazil. He will be sentenced today. That is Hassan Wario. And we can come to education matters, and CBC mandate is to empower learners. This is just a statement from the Kenyan National Examination Council CEO, that is David Njengere. There's also more on what he said concerning CBC. A clear indicator of CBC is actually here to stay. CBC is here to stay regardless of perhaps what some parents could have said here and there. And the whole idea is just trying to show that this is meant and set to empower, going by its skill-based kind of structure.
All right, before we take a break, let me just take you through the front page of the Daily Nation. Looking at the stories here at the header, did you default your second job? If you did, the state is coming for you. And this is in line with the state's commitment towards ensuring that, a greater percentage of the population has been vaccinated. I'll be giving you more details as that story has been captured here. The next story here on the header is heart-wrenching. This is the story of a mother who lost 2 children to hyenas. This is an incident that happened this earlier on in this week in Kwale County, where she had just left early in the morning to go look for casual jobs to be able to fend for her children, only to receive a call that hyenas had invaded her home and mauled 2 of her children to death, aged 2 and 1. I'll be giving you more details as that story has been captured here. Again, the main read here on the front page is still in line with the former sports CS. For Rio Loot, sports CS faces jail. Now, the least we could do for our world-beating sports stars who bring glory to our country for no pay is treat them decently, as has been captioned here. So, going by the header here, they say that our team in the 2016 Olympic Games was a victim of corruption, with several athletes left stranded in a shanty in Rio. Today, former sports CS Hassan Wario and former NOC official will start paying for this injustice. Moving on to the story here on the right side of this particular front page, pain is not yet over. Tax is on the way. So this fuel price hike is a nightmare for many Kenyans, but the situation is expected to worsen in the coming 2 weeks when the government's new tax rates take effect as of the 1st of October. That is basically what has been captured here on the front page of the Daily Nation for you. But before we get to more details, how about you take a very quick breather? We'll be back to give you more details as has been captured on the different dailies. Stay with us.
a weekly health show where we will give you an opportunity to learn about some of the common illnesses and even how to avoid them, to help you make an informed health decision and even get some important information regarding how to improve your health. Every week, we will be joined by health experts within their own field, even as we discuss preventions to health issues. Your Health Show every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. with me, Purity Museo, only on KBC.
曾以为只是寒冷如常的冬天
Everything in the South is already in place. She'll be pushed into a corner.
Something severe must have happened. Otherwise, Prince Chung wouldn't give up the chance to meet with His Majesty.
It's Governor Xu. He's proposing a marriage to Master. Master has already agreed and is going to marry you off to Governor Chu's son.
This marriage will make us much closer. Mr. Hong, this almost feels predestined.
曾以为只是寒冷如常的冬天不管我
Kabisa unanikana mimi sikujui wewe na unijui.
My name is Michael Mongombe and I'm a wildlife warrior.
It's one of the biggest mammals in the world and definitely the largest creatures in our waters.
I've never known like there could be an animal with teeth that are like 20 centimeters long and weighing up to 1 kilogram.
The first thing you'll see is a puff, something like a little geezer, and that's for sure a sign that there's a whale around.
There have been less information about whales' presence in Kenya.
This is Wildlife Warriors with me, Paula Kahumbu.
Welcome back. Glad you are still keeping us company. We continue with In the Headlines. Remember, we are still using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. At KBC Channel 1 is our official station handle. Individual handles are at Dorina Range, at Victor Olo, at Ray Manyara, and at Jade Wumboy. Now, we start off with this particular story that I've just quickly highlighted here on page 3 of the Daily Nation. The pain of a woman losing 2 children to hyenas. My goodness. So, this is an incident that happened Tuesday morning in Baisa village, Kwale County. The mother, that is Saumu Sodoma, woke up early in the morning and rushed to the market to look for casual work. At around 9 a.m., she received a call from her neighbors, and the news that she got was heart-wrenching. She was told that a clan of hyenas had invaded her compound and 2 of her children had been attacked and killed. She has 4 children, a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old. In this incident, she said when she walked into the compound, she found the body of her 2-year-old lying outside the house. He had been mauled to death. And when she went inside the house, she found the body of her 1-year-old little girl lying there in a pool of blood. There were some neighbors who came in to try and help the children. A 65-year-old was also attacked in the process, and 4 other villagers were also attacked as they tried to rescue the remaining children and also their old man, who was also later taken to hospital. And according to KWS Acting Assistant Director in charge of conservation, they have taken note of the human-wildlife conflict in this particular area, and they deployed more officers are going to be deployed today actually to Kinango and other high-risk areas. And in the meantime, Ms. Ajuonga said that the family affected will be given 30,000 for each of the children that were killed as a consolation while they process further compensation for this family. You know, hyena is known to have the strongest bite force among the animal population, and it mauled to death a 2-year-old boy and a 1-year-old girl.
Apparently, it's reported that, the animals, the kind of drought situation experienced that particular part of the country is not driving wild animals from their habitat. And now, the kids were left unattended, and the animal strayed to the homestead. So, we know hyenas, how they behave. They don't take any chances, and at this particular point I think it pounced on the little kids, and there they were, but then later on it's reported that it was killed by
one of the hyenas was killed.
Exactly. It's also reported that earlier in the day it had also attacked another home, and it was chased. But then now this just calls a lot of for the KWS officials. At this particular point, things are tough, and you may realize that that area is somehow dry, and there are no wild animals because the migration period is probably that particular point. So they don't get, they feed on each other in the jungle. So probably it just strayed. Our heartfelt condolences to the affected families. It's tough, right? But grace to the family.
Yeah, and the mother says she had gone to look out for money to be able to feed her children because she does not, like any other parent, you cannot want to see your children starve. But at the same time, you get to hear such news. She even went on to say that from now moving forward, she would rather die of hunger with her children in the house than leave them alone. Those were her words.
It's so heartbreaking. And actually, as you were reading that article, I was just cringing because, again, this is not the first time such kind of cases are being reported. Regardless of drought or not drought, it's not really the first time. So just as perhaps the state is saying they will compensate the family, let's just hope and believe this is not that case of we will do this and then things just go underwaters and nothing really happens. May they be able to actually compensate the family, because it's sad. I mean, 2 kids just like that.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
All right, KWS officials, make sure that you help that family and contain perhaps any other animals that are still on the loose in that particular area, and of course across the country. Okay, let's go through the newspaper here. The Standard. The story of bishops offer to help in mending division between Uhuru and Ruto. The bishops declined to discuss the details of peace and entreaties, whether they had started and who was involved. They blamed politicians for campaigning when they are aware that Uhuru suspended public gatherings and COVID-19 cases are on the rise. Okay, and let me just say that they're speaking to each other, and at cross purposes, Uhuru and Ruto are creating anxiety among the people, and with it, potential to ignite political violence, the bishops said. So that is according to the bishops there. Raila makes light of Mganga remarks by rivals, saying that it means he's a medic. He's at peace with that. ODM leader Raila Odinga is slowly seeking to turn the tables on his opponent's use of the word Mganga to belittle him. Raila embraced the tag, saying that it does not, after all, mean what his rivals, especially Deputy President William Ruto and his allies, intend. This is the second time Raila has talked about the reference in a growing trend among top politicians to turn bad situations into advantages. Jane, Doreen, we will repeat here. that politicians know each other, they're friends, they talk, they know the game, that is their business, and whatever they say, I will tell you this for a fact, don't take it seriously.
The promises,
yes.
The promises.
That is
let them
strategy.
Let them promise, but our work is to hold them to account. We have them to keep on check because they are seeking our mandate every time we go to the polls. So we give them a job so that they can go there and legislate, oversight, and give us good results at the end of every 5 years. Not even after 5 years. We need to see results each and every time they are at work, because they're at work just like any other person. So, yeah, it's they know each other. I will tell you this. They know each other.
So they are friends.
Yeah. So one governor, Jackson Mandago, said that usiweke kwa roho. So he was speaking from experience.
It's never that serious.
It's never that serious.
In other words.
Yeah. They'll call each other, Niaje, Nairobi, Kwaje, hey, I'm inviting you for Arambe, there's a church built here, this and that. They talk. They talk. They are friends.
And they're doing that, and yet yesterday that they were throwing words at each other.
Absolutely. So that's it. There's an interesting story here, Jen.
Yes.
Before I go there, Doreen, briefly, about that story of CS Wario. Of course, it has been touched, and he's now waiting for the case to be. It's going to be sentenced in regards to the case where he was convicted for using position to mismanage funds set aside for games, that is Rio 2016 Olympic Games. So we'll wait and see how that case will pan out. Now, there's an interesting bit here in Mombasa where happy hour. We all know what happy hour is all about. It's not what you're thinking, okay? Happy hour speeds traffic on Mombasa busy roads. So this is how it works. Doreen, perhaps, I don't know what you think. Our traffic marshal. Good morning. So this is it, an idea. It now takes motorists 10 minutes to the Mombasa Central Business District from Nyali Bridge, a stretch of 6 kilometers where they would ordinarily spend at least 1 hour during peak hours. So happy hour is a strategy the county government of Mombasa is using to ease traffic. Motorists are allowed to break the law, quote unquote, to break the law for a few minutes under the watch of police officers and county traffic marshals. So this is how it works. During happy hour, normally between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m., and later from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., motorists are allowed to drive on the wrong side of the road. This is done at intervals of between 5 and 10 minutes depending on the traffic. All right? So it is coordinated. For instance, if traffic is heaviest for vehicles leaving the Central Business District in Mombasa, inbound vehicles are blocked, and those that are outbound are allowed to use the side of the road. And at that point, it's coordinated by the county government, traffic marshals and traffic police officers. It starts with a county inspectorate vehicle with a blaring siren driving on the wrong side. Motorists have been conditioned, actually they have been conditioned as we speak, to automatically know that oncoming vehicles have been blocked whenever they see the car with a siren driving on the wrong side of the road. It also signals some of the motorists to start joining lanes on the wrong side. And for 2 weeks, they say that they've seen a very good result out of that. And from this story, they have been conditioned and they know. So when you see the vehicle, the county inspectorate vehicle with the blaring siren, you just know that there's an incoming traffic, and it isn't that traffic at that particular point, because Nyali Bridge, between CBD and Nyali Bridge, the other side of Nyali, we all know how it looks like sometimes during peak hours. So, Doreen, is it possible to be done here in Nairobi? What's the take on that? Now that the formation and the topography, the whole traffic situation in Nairobi, the roads, the arrangement, everything is different from Mombasa.
It's very possible to do that, because I mean, all these things that is being done is just to try and ease traffic flow, traffic congestions, and that's why you're seeing also on most major roads, could be here in Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, or even beyond, much as they're trying to put up or erect proper footbridges, they're also trying to put up an unmotorized transport system, which it's in the same bracket, it's in the same idea to try and see how best they can reduce that traffic flow. Because I mean, just going by Nyali Bridge, of all the cases that we have also had of people perhaps losing their lives, people, some of them being stepped on. It's just the same thing. You know, you get to that point, it's very congested, no proper planning, no proper arrangement of how people need to move, you know, from one side to the other side. So all these things they're trying to do is try to see how best they can reduce traffic, because even as we talk about traffic of vehicles, remember that at the same time, we also have people, and especially on mostly footbridges. So yes, it can also be done. There's nothing really difficult. As long as the idea, the plan, and proper implementation strategy is there, it's never difficult. Yeah.
All right. Pick it from there.
Yeah, so maybe we can begin from that where you had touched on a bit on the standard, I believe, and this is in regards to religious leaders and reuniting of the president as well as the DP and the efforts they've been trying to put. And the questions coming out is that, is it too late to even try to reunite these leaders? And at what point did these religious leaders begin with that course of trying to bring them back? And I can just take some bites from different leaders, different religious leaders. This is just going by the fact that they had begun that initiative sometime last year. This was before before their efforts were temporarily disrupted by COVID-19 pandemic. And at that point, they had hoped that they would bring together, that is the DP and the president. But because of those effects, lack of proper meetings, it didn't quite happen. So they stalled a bit on that kind of initiative. So yesterday, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, that is KCCB, led by its chair and Mombasa Archbishop, that is Martin Kivuva, they regretted that the differences between the duo could further escalate among their supporters and seeds of discord. They also just continue to say that we are deeply concerned that if this open disagreement between the president and the deputy is taken up by their supporters, the trickle-down effect could generate across the country, and this will be dire to even contemplate. And they call upon the president and his deputy to seek ways of reconciling and working together for the sake of the unity of our country. Just trying to say, in other words, it's 11 months to the next general elections. At this point, the two heads of our country do not seem to be reading on the same script. They are always at loggerheads, so to speak, going by this particular article. And most of what these religious leaders are saying is that much as we just have few months to the next general election, is it time that perhaps they can come together just to show the country that our two leaders and our two heads are united? And perhaps I can bring you guys on this one. The question I've been asking is that, is it too late to even try to bring them together? And again, going by this article, whatever we are seeing in terms of disagreement and discourse, might this have a ripple effect as we head over to August 2022 general elections? What do you guys think?
Well, actually, it's the work of the bishops trying to bring them together. My question is, well, it's a good move for the sake of the country. And the two leaders were elected under one ticket. But then now, for the last 4 years, and now we are heading to the 5th year now with the elections just across the corner, the question of the political implication that would bring would be enormous. And we've seen and we've experienced and we've reported, talked about it here for a very long time, that the relationship between the president and his deputy was severed a long time ago. And perhaps they've been speaking from different scripts. Now, what are the political implications once that happens? Remember, they've had, the president said that he's had a very smooth run in his second term. And obvious reasons that have been spoken out there is that he'd had some good friendship with Honorable Raila Odinga. Now, if at all it happens that the handshake between the president and his deputy, that in terms of political tension, I don't know how that would be, but generally there is some relative calm and peace and serenity in the country, so to speak. So I don't see, from my perspective, I don't see where the handshake and the reconciliation between the president and his deputy would bring peace. Basically, there is peace in the country. That's according to me. Jen.
Well, I think so far we've already seen some bit of consequences from this end of bromanceship that has been between the president and his deputy. But the fact that it hasn't been a direct sort of consequences or ripple effect from them actually meeting in public and actually acting out on each other. I think there's still hope for us as a country. Their relationship is not all doom and gloom. We haven't seen them directly confronting each other or disrespecting each other, so working relationship is still there. Personal may be compromised, but we don't really know the details of their relationship politically and personally. So for now, we just take it for what it is, pick up the pieces where we have to, but still just hope for the best as a country, because them coming out with their differences is definitely going to have a direct negative impact on the country.
Yeah, and I think that is a good point.
Because they both command a huge following.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point of let's just be hopeful that everything is going to be okay. Because again, also there's a lot of skepticism here and there. Much as we are saying they haven't directly, addressed each other, it is their supporters. Their supporters that are the ones that we are really seeing trying to also throw words at each other. But nonetheless, let's hope for the best.
Now let's look at some bit of COVID. So if you defaulted on your second jab, the state finna come for you. All right. So this entire page has featured stories concerning COVID-19. Let's start with this one about those that have defaulted their second jab of the COVID-19 vaccine. And this is particularly those that had received the AstraZeneca first jab. So as per the ministry, there are about 100,000 Kenyans who got the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, but they are yet to return for the second jab in order to complete the regimen. Now, public health officials said that these individuals wouldn't be considered fully vaccinated until they showed up, and they have urged those that got the first jab to show up for the second vaccine. Now, one dose does a good job, but two does an even better job. And there have been research that says the second dose results in longer lasting immunity, and studies have also gone on to indicate that given the second dose more than 42 days after the first may still be quote unquote very effective, and in some cases even more effective. So if you got the first jab and it's been a couple or 3 or 4 months since you got the first jab, you are still encouraged to go and get the second one. It will still be as effective as it has been intended to be, and 2 is always better than 1. Now, looking at the other story here, you remember when the ministry, in line with the transport, came together and decided that it is best to allow our vehicles, PSVs, to resume full capacity loading. The biggest fear was that would catalyze the situation and aggravate everything and throw off the efforts that we had made as a country when it comes to fighting COVID-19. But as sheer luck would have it, or is it mercy of the gods? Hey, nakwambia journalists.
Hello, naangusha.
Hey, well, so this return to full capacity came with a lot of fear, and but as fate would have it, it has actually not catalyzed anything. If anything, the numbers have slightly gone down. So it has been slightly over a month since the Ministry of Transport caved in to allow matatus to resume operations despite the several conditions that they had laid out for them. And PSV, they were reported to be the weak link, by the way, when it comes to the transmission of COVID-19 due to lack of social distancing, lack of sanitizing and washing hands as effectively as they would have hoped it would be, and poor wearing of masks. So now it has emerged that this whole situation hasn't catalyzed anything. Matatu operators have been diligently enforcing this Ministry of Health protocols and ensuring that everyone is wearing a mask and wearing a mask properly. sijui kama umeingia kwa matatu ukakatazwa kukula, because that is one thing they were told to discourage passengers from doing, because that would mean you have to remove your mask. They discourage passengers from doing these things, and it has in turn resulted in a controlled sort of way of operation for the matatu sector. So this is good news. It was one of the biggest fears, but so far they have reported that, you know, it did not bring the Armageddon that was being expected, you know. And of course, they've already also given a notice about going on strike.
Yeah.
Later on today, from around noon.
12?
Yeah, due to the hiked fuel prices. So we
Brace
benefit
yourself.
here, tunapambana ipande ingine. D.
Brace yourself. Perhaps I can pick it up from that COVID note, and this is in regards to what the Ministry of Health is now saying as it pertains to vaccines. And now they're saying that unvaccinated persons are the ones that are filling up ICU wards with the COVID cases, whereby more than 60 out of 70 COVID patients admitted in the ICU in 4 private health facilities in Nairobi between August 1st and September 12th were not vaccinated. That is 60 out of 70. So only 10 were the ones who were vaccinated. A survey in those 53 days shows 64 of the ICU admissions were unvaccinated, while there were only 6 partially vaccinated patients, of course, showing that this just simply means those that took the first jab and for one reason or the other did not go for the second one. Significantly, at the Avenue Healthcare, the Nairobi Women's, London and Metropolitan Hospitals, Nairobi branches, there were no admissions for persons who had completed 2 doses of the disease vaccination during that particular period. This report released yesterday by Kenya Healthcare Federation also indicated that during the same period, that is August 1st to September 12th, 97 out of 102 COVID admissions in the HDU were unvaccinated. The remaining 5 were partially vaccinated. The data revealed there was only 1 fully vaccinated person who was admitted to the HDU after contracting the disease. I mean, we can't emphasize this any further. Go get vaccinated, much as we are being told that even if you are vaccinated, you're not fully safe, because it simply means that you still have to follow the protocols of wearing of masks, sanitizing, proper social distancing. But even at that, it's still important to get vaccinated, because to some extent, at least, it gives you some form of safety. And going by these figures released by KHF, clearly, it's very important to just get vaccinated. Vic.
Okay, so let me drop the Standard and pick the Star here briefly, and let's take a look on what some of the stories here in the Star newspaper. Of course, on the front page is that story of how Raila Mount Kenya game plan jolts One Kenya Alliance chiefs, and on the front page as well is that the pictures of Hassan Wario in the docks yesterday at Milimani Law Courts. The story still continues to page 4-5. Now to page 6, how Raila's Mount Kenya game plan might leave Kalonzo Musale Mudavadi with few options. If he picks running mate from the region, the two must settle for lesser positions if they want to be in coalition with him. Oparanya says that running mate from President's staff would enhance Raila's chances of winning State House battle. And briefly, although Kalonzo and Musalia have insisted that they would go to the ballot, their nascent One Kenya Alliance has yet to take off, and teaming up with Raila is seen as no option. President Uhuru Kenyatta had been spearheading the unity bid, but it appears to have faltered. That is what's there, and it continues and on and on and on and on. Still on politics, as while Ruto's Rift Valley critics now troop to his camp, the politicians were drifting towards Gideon Moi, President Uhuru's axis, in a clear pointer of a strong wave of the party in the region. Sitting MPs and KANU era politicians who were drifting to Baringo Senator Gideon Moi and President Uhuru Kenyatta's axis during the BBI campaigns are now making their way to DP Ruto's camp. It's time for, in a football we call this transfer window, and perhaps this is also the season for the transfer window of politicians. Very normal. Central MPs showcase Uhuru legacy projects to sell Jubilee. Leaders start campaign to discredit persons laying claim to government projects for 2022. And the lot has identified the projects largely in the areas where Jubilee enjoyed massive following, being Nairobi, Kiambu, Murang'a, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Laikipia and Nyandarua. Last Thursday, the MPs joined Transport CS James Macharia in an inspection tour of the dual carriageway, which is part of the Trans-Africa Highway projects. Also listed is the ongoing works of 540 kilometers Mau Road irrigation projects in Kirinyaga under the Thiba Dam, and 4 new hospitals being built in Nairobi and parts of Kiambu. Over there, a few days ago, I was in that direction of, Central heading towards Nyeri. It looks good. It looks good. When you join Thika Highway to Kenol and then now towards the sides of Makuyu, down there, it looks okay. The roadworks is happening down there. So, yes, time to take a break, right?
Yes.
Yes, take a break. Our work is to talk. Si hata pia tupumzike kidogo. Okay?
Everything in the South is already in place. She'll be pushed into a corner.
Something severe must have happened. Otherwise, Prince Chung wouldn't give up the chance to meet with His Majesty.
It's Governor Xu. He's proposing a marriage to Master. Master has already agreed and is going to marry you off to Governor Chu's son.
This marriage will make us much closer. Mr. Hong, this almost feels predestined.
曾以为只是寒冷如常的冬天，不管我。
See the venom dripping out? Yeah.
Unbelievable! This week on Zurura, we go 3 degrees south of the equator for action-packed water sports. Explore one of East Africa's largest assembly plants and learn a thing or two about venomous reptiles.
Oh, wow!
Excited to see the milking.
That's coming right up on Zurura. Find your adventure.
Joseph, the exalted one.
Do you think you were given that gift?
What gift?
Does God really want to reveal the future to you in your dreams, brother?
Rachel! Rachel, my sister! Forgive me.
Joseph has blinded our father and stole your rightful place beside him. We must get rid of him at once.
If only we could, Simeon.
Why can't we? We need only to be alone with that traitor. Then we finish him off! Yes!
Hatukuwa wanapigana mzee. Oh, we are just having peaceful talks. Good. You've outdone yourself, Mark.
Hawa ndugu wako na vituko.
It's good that both of us are here.
Rent mnalipaje?
quite serious and not to be taken lightly. Therefore, I refused.
You have to give your daughter a chance to make her own decisions.
Yes, I like him. Yes, I like him. I like him so much he makes me go crazy.
If you want to be respected here in my house, you have to show respect. Are we clear on that?
I believe that we should take revenge on one of that man's daughters.
I want to make this very clear, that neither Elias nor you will get to decide when or where I'm getting married. Is that clear to you? No, I'm not going to marry Elias.
Guys, there is this new product I am selling. Would you be interested?
What product?
Mind your business. It works wonders and it is good for human consumption.
Lucy is a cow. Okay, I've had enough for the day.
You bought a cow in Nairobi and you are all living in rentals.
Naya, today you look very different and bombastic. Kwani, are you going for an interview?
I learned indeed and I passed with flying colors.
Oh, here we go again. Can't you guys keep private? This was private. You are just tap to anyone you think would listen.
See the venom dripping out? Yeah.
Unbelievable!
This week on Zurura, we go 3 degrees south of the equator for action-packed water sports. Explore one of East Africa's largest assembly plants and learn a thing or two about venomous reptiles.
Oh, wow!
Excited to see the milking.
That's coming right up on Zurura. Find your adventure.
Welcome back to the program. This is Good Morning Kenya. Time for our first conversation this Thursday on Entertainment Thursday segment. And we just want to start with a bit of music before we develop to other things. My guest this morning is Evans D. Ouma.
Yeah.
I did pronounce that correctly?
It's correctly.
A gospel artist?
Yeah.
Gospel minister?
Gospel minister, not artist.
No, okay. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start from there. There's that question of gospel artist, gospel minister. Some would call themselves gospel artists because they will say, si tunaimba tu. As long as the message is out, people are hearing the message, it is good. Some will call themselves ministers because they are saying, me kwa inspired na God. My content is purely inspirational.
Okay, nitaongea on my behalf.
Unajiongelelea.
Najiongelelea mimi mwenyewe. Mimi ni gospel minister.
Yes.
I worship God through singing. Yeah. So when you worship God through singing, I'm not singing to worship God, but I'm worshiping God through singing.
Okay, wow.
That's how I'm a minister.
You're not worshiping God
through singing.
You're worshiping God through singing.
I'm worshiping God through singing.
Okay, you're not,
I'm not singing to worship God.
But ideally, welcome to gospel minister. Aside from that aspect of worshiping and singing, nini haswa inafanya ujite gospel minister? Is there like a deeper meaning?
The reason why inajiita gospel minister kwa sababu umejua mimi na maabudu Mungu. Mimi I'm not an artist, as in artist mtu ambaye ana create kitu. You sit down, you create something, then you sing. Ama una dramatize, unaweza kutoa drama, unaweza, and I think you understand what I'm saying. So kuna mtu anaimba gospel but hajakubali Yesu kwa Mkristo wa maisha yake.
Okay.
Unanielewa? So ana sing gospel. Kwa sababu gospel ni nzuri pengine inauza. But mimi I'm not singing gospel. I'm worshiping God through singing. That's why I call myself a minister.
Wow.
Hata kuna siku mtu amenikaribisha kwenda kuimba kwa kanisa lake akaweka hapo Evans artist, guest artist. Nilimwambia delete that.
Okay.
Yes.
Yani ni hivyo serious?
Yes, I'm not an artist. I'm a minister.
Wow, that's interesting.
Asante.
And you take up that mantle of just saying mimi ni gospel minister because huduma yangu inakaa namna hivi.
Iko tofauti.
Okay. So muziki ulianza mwaka gani?
Muziki naweza sema nilianza nikiwa mtoto mdogo, nikiwa primary level. But naweza sema kurecord nilianza 2012.
Professionally?
Professionally. 2012 nikarecord, nikatoa nyimbo nyingi na nikatoa worship ya video, but video haikufanya vizuri. So nika relax, nikaendelea na kazi yangu. Professionally nafanya mechanical engineering. So nikaenda kwa hiyo line kwanza, nikatulia kidogo, but nimekuwa tu nikiimba kwa makanisa. So unajua unakuwa local champion. You just sing kanisani huko mahali huko watu wanakujua, but haujulikani na watu wengine. So juzi tu naweza sema this year niliamua kurudi studio tena na kurecord nyimbo. Kuna producer mmoja anajiita Bedi at Heaven Media. Aliniambia bwana, wewe ni mwimbaji mkubwa, uko mpaka na band. Hii kitu wacha kuiweka locally, watu hapa ndio wanakujua, ndio wanajua unahubiri through singing. Can you pull up your socks na ufuatilie music? So I decided to do what I have done. Kuna wimbo nimefanya na kwa sababu nimekuja kuilaunch leo.
Okay, na tutaongelea kuhusu wimbo just tukienda kumalizia.
Asante.
But unasema pia uko na band, like you just not only sing, trying to release singles hapa na pale, but pia uko na band.
Niko na band. I think niko na vitu tatu upande wa music. First, I'm a music director in our church. So mimi ni praise team leader pale. Then secondly, niko na events ministry. Ile iko ndani yangu sasa, ile yenye nimekuja nayo leo. Ile team nimekuja na, that's events ministry. Then kuna unique band which I'm the director. 3 things,
3 ministries. All this just in terms of creating, worshiping God, creating gospel content, gospel music to spread the word. Nini haswa ina kuinspire kama Evans? Because just going by your story, ulianza muziki professionally 2012. Hiyo ni kurecord, haikufanya vizuri hapa na pale, but bado you picked up yourself late mid last year na ukasema now I want to do this. This has been like 9 years ukiwa tu kwa muziki professionally. What is your greatest inspiration?
Okay, naweza sema number 1, I love worshiping God lively. As in, kama kumworship Mungu, live alone recording.
Okay.
But lively. So nimekuwa nikiona wasanii ambao wanafanya hiyo njia kama Tumaini na Wilberforce. So hao ndio wame-inspire. Nikaona I can do like them. So hata nimekuwa nikiimba, wananiita naenda na worship na wao kwa platform moja. So nikasema lazima nifuatilie huu muziki wangu. That's what have inspired me a lot.
So in this 9 years, haswa kama msanii wa gospel, and I'm actually very particular to even talk to gospel ministers or gospel artists, because sahizi the kind of space yenye tuko when it comes to art na music, kuna a lot of conversations about gospel artists or gospel ministers. Wengine wanasema unajua watu wengi wamekuja pale kwa hiyo muziki ya gospel, hakuna ile genuineness. That's why mtu atafanya gospel leo for 3 years, 5 years, ataenda kwa secular. Ama some secular artists watafeel gospel kuna pesa sana, so tutakuja kwa gospel. So for you, much as that is your inspiration, nini na keep a ground that unasema actually for me, nilianza na hii gospel na nataka nimtumikie Mungu, I want to worship God, this is who I am as Evans.
Okay, number 1, mimi wanaambia watu, I don't sing to get money.
That's interesting.
Yes. Because mimi nimebarikiwa.
Okay.
Vile nimekuambia, I'm an engineer, niko na workshops. I do with companies, insurance companies. So siimbi nipate pesa. Nimebarikiwa tayari, ile kidogo niko nayo imenitosha. So nikiimba nifate vile, nifanye hivi ndio nipate pesa. Hiyo kitu umejua itaanza kunisukuma. And that's why una end up kuchanganyikiwa. Unaanza gospel ukisema kwa sababu kuna msanii aliimba akapata pesa. For example, wacha pia mimi ni push nipate nini? Pesa. So unaenda hapo unafanya inakataa. ndio naingia kwa secular. Naona na Diamond kwa secular naona analipa, so acha niende huko. But for me I worship God because I know mahali amenitoa. You see? Na maandiko yanasema kuna jambo moja tu Mungu hawezi jifanyia, kuabudu. Mungu anaweza fanya everything but hawezi jiabudu. So mimi huwa namwabudu kwa sababu hawezi jiabudu. You see now. So when I write songs, nikienda studio, siendange wimbo wangu uende ili nipate pesa. Naimba uende watu wapate injili. And mostly nyimbo zangu ni za kumtukuza Mungu. Utapata I just sing to serve my God, thank him for what he have done for me. You see now. So utapata sina pressure ati nitatoa hii wimbo nitafanya hivi ili nipate do. No.
Uko easy.
Yeah, I'm very hata nikiimba wimbo, hata ikisikizwa tu na my wife na family, I have no problem because I sing for God, I don't sing for people.
Okay. So wengine ni mkitaka cool, mkikosa
no problem.
We are still okay. Ukisema Mungu amekutoa mbali, na pia this is part of what informs the kind of content una create kama gospel minister. Hapa ni wapi Mungu amekutoa?
Mimi I'm a firstborn of 10. Na naweza kumbuka vizuri katika jamii yetu, sitasema mambo mengi, but nikitaja tu kidogo mahali Mungu amenitoa. Mimi mtu ambaye kwa kijiji chetu hakuna mahali ningetokelezea, because number one sikulelewa na wazazi, na wakati ningetaka wazazi wanisaidie hawakunisaidia. Then wakati nilijikaza na maisha, nikafanya 1 2 3 kivyangu, nikafika mahali nilifika, nikianza tu kupata kapesa yangu kidogo, wazazi wakapass on. Manielewa?
Yes.
That is my mom, but dad aliaga 2013, then mom 2014.
Just ndo umeanza kufanya muziki.
Nilianza kufanya, at least naweza pata kitu kuwasaidia. Na despite the fact. So Mungu amekuwa mwaminifu mimi kulinda hao watoto 9 kuwapeleka shule, na Mungu akanipatia jina. Ndio unaona wimbo nimeimba leo, Mungu alinipatia jina. Siku hizi acha nikupatie for example. Mimi kwa kijiji chetu ama mahali nimekuwa, hata kwa mipango wa kitu boma letu atunge hesabiwa mahali, kwa sababu number one, na nilikuwa naambia my wife, unaona kiatu nimevaa sio expensive, si cheap kulingana na vile iko. Mimi kiatu yangu ya kwanza nilivaa nikiwa class 8, na hiyo kiatu nilikuwa nimeomba. Unaona hiyo siku ya mtihani, hizo mtihani 3 siku 3 KCP niliomba hiyo kiatu, na ilikuwa sandak. Unajua inakuwa na joto, inakufinya. Hata naambiana vijana wangu wa job tunafanya nao, wanasema hapa naona danganya. So mtu ambaye angevaa kiatu ako na viatu, mtu ambaye angejinunulia nguo ako na nguo. Unaona mimi huwa nasema okay, tumeenda college na watu wengi hii kazi yetu, lakini vile nimenawiri katika hiyo kazi ukipima na watu ambao walikuwa na pesa na watu ambao walikuwa wametoka familia nzuri, hawezi pimanisha na mimi. You see now, mimi Mungu amenibariki kwa njia ya tofauti, na Mungu amekuwa akinitendea mambo ambayo ninaona hata wazazi wangu hangenisaidia, marafiki hangenisaidia, lakini Mungu anapenya tu, anafungua milango. Ile kazi naifanya saa hii, nimekwambia niko na garage, nimeregister, nafanya na government na insurance companies. Mimi sina jina, hakuna mahali ningejulikana, ningetokelezea mahali, lakini kwa sababu ya Mungu amenipenyesha. In fact kuna watu hao wanakuja kwa workshop wakubwa, wanakuja kuona director, wanakuja na nipata ni kama mtu kidogo tu ndika amefanya jina la hiyo kazi imejulikana hivyo. I'm always humble because najua mahali Mungu ametoa, and that's why I sing saying Mungu unanipenda. The love ule Mungu ameonyesha ndani ya maisha yangu, siwezi acha kumtumikia hata kama kuna nini.
Wow. Na bako kafika point you went to school ukafanya engineering, and here you are. Clear indicator that there's nothing that is impossible. That's what they keep saying, where there's a will, as long as you have the will, you have that inspiration, it's in your mind, you can always become anything and everything that you want to become as a person. Sindio? Okay. Now, kuna part ulisema, and I think given that you describe yourself as a gospel minister, naweza penda sana kusikia your perspective on that, because it's a very pertinent issue, na especially kwa wasanii. And when I talk about wasanii, I'm just saying it cuts across. It could be music, could be art, could be performing, just as long as wewe ni mtu kwa the art spaces. Vile umesema kwamba wewe huwa hawimbi kupata pesa, yani kwa mfano pesa ikija ni sawa, isipo hiyo si your main agenda. most artists, they would say, or even just anyone will just say, at the end of the day, sitakula hii mziki, which to some extent ni reality. Because kama we ni msanii unaimba, you expect returns. What do you think about that? Is it a point when or where perhaps as artists wana need to focus so much on that content and let returns ifuate hiyo content, na not ati I'm singing, I expect something from what I'm doing?
Yeah, I get you very clear. Let me say something. For one, mimi huwa naitwa makanisani kwenda nimekwambia mimi napenda live music,
live performances.
Yeah, praise and worship. Pastors wanajua hawa wananipigia simu kuja tuko na revival, tuko na wageni, na maybe praise team yao haijafika kiwango cha kuimba wakati wageni wako, so wananialika, naenda na watu kama 3. Mimi nikienda kwa akili yangu, mimi I drive by the way, so nikikuja kama 50 kilometers na assume hiyo, siambiange hata mwenye amenyalika ati utanipatia pesa hivi, nitakuja na gari, nitafanya nini. No, I just go. I do yenye Mungu aliniambia nifanye. I worship God. Then kwa akili yangu najuanga mwenye amenialika anaweza kaa aseme huyu jamaa amefuel na at least ameoga, amekuja ameng'ara. So wacha tu ni mpatie bahasha ya asante, because maandiko yanasema tunakula kwa madhabahu. Sasa hiyo sasa ni kukula kwa madhabahu, so nikipewa ni sawa, asiponipatia pia ni sawa, because nakuanga nimejipanga na my team. Najua nitawanunulia lunch, najua tutafua ile gari, so I just come, we do what I'm supposed to do. Nakwambia mchungaji ananiambia umebarikiwa sana, umetubariki sana, tutaonana. I say it's okay, lakini ujue pia, so unaona kuna vitu nimekutajia kwamba kuna kuoga na kuna fueling. Kama pastor, kama mtu ambaye amenialika kwa hiyo event, tunafuka itu hivi kama mwanadamu useme huyu jamaa amekuja hapa crusade siku 4, si ndio? Amekuja revival siku 2. So wacha tu nimupatie kabahasha. Kwa sababu naamini hata mchungaji mwenye alialikwa hapa ametoka Nigeria, haezi achwa hivyo. Lazima apewe ka fuel. But my main point sio nilikuja kuabudu Mungu.
Na pia kwa kichwa yako even ndio you have structured.
Yes.
So do you think this is a problem with, let me say, because umeka kwa industry for 9 years, do you think this is a problem with upcoming artists or even just most artists, that imefika point where wasanii wana run more sana for the money and not what their art can do for them or what they can do with their art?
Okay, talking to wasanii running for the money, wacha nikuambie kitu moja. Hakuna msanii kwanza wa gospel ana run for money.
Okay.
What happens? Sisi waimbaji, uwe unaimba kanisani ama unaimba na mimi napenda kusema kama wewe ni msanii wa gospel, either you are a minister or a gospel artist, kuwa na kanisa, kuwa na baba wa kiroho. Ukialikwa mahali unaweza mwambia baba, ninaenda kuimba kwa kanisa fulani. Mjua wasanii wengi, siwezi kuangalia, lakini wasanii wengi wamekosa content, hawana hata kanisa. Watu kimuuliza anaenda kanisa gani hawezi kukuelezea. So unafaa uwe na baba wa kiroho, ukitaka kwenda mahali unaomba ruhusa ama unasema. So talking to running for money, vile nimekuelezea tu, msanii by the way wenye waliharibu sana na hao watu wanatualika. Naona watu wanatualika twende tuimbe, to worship God. Vile nimekuelezea muimbaji, sasa unaona mimi unlike me nimejipanga. Ukinipatia ni sawa, usiponipatia ni sawa. Lakini kuna msanii amekuja ako zile za vile nimekuja, itabidi nipoe kabasha hata kama ni ngiri 2. Sawa. Kuna msanii huwa anajikasa, hata pengine ana gari kama mimi, pengine amehaya ama ameomba rafiki yake nipatie gari, amekopa fuel, amekopa fuel, ameweka bearing in his mind or her mind, mali naenda ku minister, at least nitapewa hata kama kabasha 2,000 ama 3. So huyo msanii anakuja, mnabarikiwa then anaenda nyumbani hivyo. Naona inakwasa wasanii by the way sana tena saidi.
Okay. So clearly also just going by what you're saying, pay your aspect, your mentorship. Having a church, it's very important for artists, ministers, regardless of what you call yourself.
For your growth, very important. Very important. Na unakuwa na discipline, unapata hawezi tu kuongea anything.
Na pia wezi enda kuperform tu anywhere.
Wezi enda anywhere, na wezi tu enda kuperform. Utajua nimetoka kwa madhabahu naenda kwa madhabahu. Yeah. So wasanii wengi wa gospel, mimi sipendi mtu akisema ati wanapenda pesa.
Okay.
Hakuna mtu anapenda pesa. You know, na hakuna mtu apendi pesa. Gospel ministers na pastors, these are the same thing. In fact they are one. Na nilikuwa naambia mtu, waimbaji wa makanisa, waimbaji sisi ambao tuna worship God, kwa tunakaa kwa madhabahu masaa mengi kuliko mchungaji. Like mimi naingia kanisa saa 1 Sunday, nitatoka kwa hiyo madhabahu saa 6 nikipatia mchungaji ahubiri. Sawa? Acha niongee kikamba kidogo, nimekaa huko. Sawa? Nikitoka hapo nitakaa chini, mhubiri ahubiri wanawa. Sijasema tupewe kitu, lakini appreciate huyo waimbaji, wapatie maji, wapatie soda. Sasa zingine una surprise, unaambia chukweni bashi 3,000, mnaweza enda mkule hata lunch. Juu tunatoa sadaka, tunatoa fungo la 10 na kuna gari ama mkokoteni na kujangia hiyo pesa kipeleka mbinguni. Hiyo pesa yote inakwanga ya kanisa pale na inatumika pale kanisani.
Na ni hawa watu
wanatumia. So wakati mchungaji anakula, na mimi thank God for my bishop. Bishop wetu anakuanga very honest. Sasa zingine hata anatusurprise, anambia anataka kuwapeleka out. Unaona? Ni ile sadaka. Tunakula hata 5,000. Hiyo na appreciate, unakuwa na nguvu ya, lakini kuna wachungaji wengine sitawataja kwa majina, wameandamine waimbaji, yani wameona tu waimbaji ni anything. Mwimbaji amekuja saa 11 kanisani, anatoka saa 7 anamwambia tu umetubariki leo, Mungu akubariki. Huyo mtu anaendanga, wengine hata hawana kazi by the way. Waimbaji wengine hawana kazi. Amekuja hapa ameabudu. Ma appreciate. And that's why siku hizi unaona waimbaji wengi wao wameona kama si mnatutaka sana kama waimbaji. Unajua kanisa bila naye good music, hiyo kanisa ina watu. Music first. So if you want a good music, lazima we go deep now to your pocket. Kwa sababu mchezaji keyboard akishajua anacheza keyboard, na mapastors wengi especially in Nairobi, mtu wa keyboard akimuita hapa namwambia I will give you 1,000 as Sunday. Anaenda. Unafikiria mwenye anampatia, anamwambia tu ubarikiwe, atakaa hapo?
Neema ya Bwana iko na wewe.
Haizi hapo. Ataenda mahali anapewa 1,000 that Sunday. At least apate kitu ya kukula kwa nyumba. Waimbaji pia the same. So hatusemi tulipwe, but we appreciate them. Appreciate them, at least pia waone kuna kitu wamefanya.
That's a good point to pause on Evans, because we just want to take a very quick break. When we return, Evans ametuambia akona band, akona group yake, so we want to see them perform a bit on his latest song. Time for that break. Stay with us, we're coming back with that.
Kenya's journey to industrialization has been long and tedious. Since 1954, when the colonial government formed the East African Colonial Commission to try and attract more investment into the agriculture sector, to Sessional Paper number 2 of 1996 on industrial transformation. This has been indeed a long journey.
We can't walk away from the journey of industrialization in Kenya. Whatever challenges we have faced, whatever environment that we find ourselves in, it is a worthy focus and goal.
This week on Inside Government, we talk industrialization matters. CS Betty Minor right here on KBC Channel 1.
We bring you a weekly health show where we will give you an opportunity to learn about some of the common illnesses and even how to avoid them, to help you make an informed health decision and even get some important information regarding how to improve your health. Every week, we will be joined by health experts within their own field, even as we discuss preventions to health issues. Your Health Show every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. With me, Purity Museo, only on KBC.
Unaona Dim?
Yes, mawiti yani unasikia ni kama uko hai.
Ni kama ndio.
Unasikia fiti.
Hii ni mali yangu, sababu alafu inaenda jail huko.
Mali yako?
Unconditional ibe.
Baby sikufanya kitu alafu sikuwa najua. Ati nasikia nini?
Nini? Unamsikiza huyu. Sasa na wewe unaongea namna gani ni kama ujui hii story. Unakaa namna gani
Lakini madai ile tabia unafanya si mutuli unafaa kuwa lendimbrianga.
My name is Michael Mongombe and I'm a wildlife warrior.
It's one of the biggest mammals in the world and definitely the largest creatures in our waters.
I've never known there could be an animal with teeth that are 20 centimeters long and weighing up to 1 kilogram.
The first thing you'll see is a puff, something like a little geezer, and that's for sure a sign that there's a whale around.
There have been less information about whales' presence in Kenya.
This is Wildlife Warriors with me, Paula Kahumbu.
Kwa maana jinsi hii Mungu alinipenda mimi. Yohana 3:16. Hallelujah. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wacha niseme umwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Hakuna linalo kushinda Mesia, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mesia, wewe ni mwema kwangu. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unapenda afya yangu Mesia, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mesia, sema wewe ni mwema Yesu. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Nasema mapenzi yangu yalinganishi na wanadamu, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Rehema imeniweka huru, Yesu wewe ni mwema lele. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Hakuna linalo kushinda juu na chini, Yesu wewe ni mwema Baba. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Ulinipa jina wakati nilikosa jina, Yesu wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wacha niimbe wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unatenda mema maishani mwangu Mesia, Yesu wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Ulibadilisha hali yangu nikawa jinsi nilivyo Mesia, wacha niseme wewe ni mwema. Juu na chini hakuna linalo kushinda, uwezo wako ni wa ajabu. Agape upendo wako ni upendo hauna mwisho. Nimeonja mapenzi yako, nimependwa nikapendeka. Hero kama mano nyasacha kumuhera ni mimia ukumba na malo yonge. Niliweka tumaini langu, tumaini kwa wanadamu, sikupata msaada kwao, msaada ni kwako Mungu. Tumuinue Yesu kwa ajili ya upendo wake, ametutenda mema. Yesu hajawacha dole mikono juu. Yesu ametuinua, Yesu ametubariki, Yesu ametupenda, Yesu ametujalia, Yesu anatenda mema, Yesu anatuinua. Sijawahi ona mwanaume amemtegemea Yesu akakosa mbona ushindi wake. Hallelujah. Pendo wa Yesu unainua, kipendwa na Yesu unabarikiwa, kipendwa na Yesu wangu Shakarela baba posela ma le grand la bendo miki watch
All right. That is your latest song.
Yes.
Your current latest song.
Yeah.
In a premiere what time? You've launched it here, Channel 1.
Yeah. 9:30.
9:30. So my fans wake up in the next hour. Talk about Naskeo Wimbo.
Yes.
Just before we finish up, what was the concept behind this song? Inspiration, idea.
Sasa vile tu nilisema wimbo wenyewe unaelezea kuhusu upendo wa Yesu. Vile Mungu amenipenda na hakuna upendo mwingine kama wa Yesu. Yeah.
Hakuna upendo mwingine kama wa Yesu. Na
mwanadamu
anakuja na crew.
Nimekuja na crew hapa. Nitajisemea majina. Yes.
Anataka tu wasemee due to the interest of time. Yeah.
Nianze hapa. This is Damaris. She's my wife.
Your strongest support system.
Yeah. Yeah, the engine. Yeah, the engine. We have Makoha here. This is ndio kiongozi wa dancer.
Okay. Na anakatika?
Tujakuja wote. Then Immaculate. Pia ni dancer.
Okay. Yeah. So as we finish up Evans, what's next for Evans kama gospel minister?
Naweza sema nataka nifikie dunia through worshiping God. Yeah. Nataka nifanye zaidi kuliko hapa.
Ufikie dunia through worshiping God.
Yes. Okay. Ni kama injili tu. Yeah. Si tunahubiri through uimbaji.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Asante.
Thank you so much Evans for coming, for creating time, talking to us about your content, at least kutuambia story yako tujue kwamba muziki unaanzia ukitoka wapi, nini inakuwa your greatest inspiration, and also what next for you kama a gospel minister. We are not yet done with Good Morning Kenya. Like we told you, it is Thursday, so we have plenty more in store for you when it comes to Entertainment Thursday. Next, we have a very big artist, Mr. Kinyaribu. We'll just stick around to find out who you're talking about. But before we have him, just one last round from Evan's latest song. Stick around for that conversation as you listen into this one.
Kwa maana jinsi hii Mungu alinipenda mimi. Yohana 3:16. Hallelujah. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wacha niseme umwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Hakuna linalo kushinda Mesia, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mesia, wewe ni mwema kwangu. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unapenda afya yangu Mesia, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mesia, sema wewe ni mwema Yesu. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Nasema mapenzi yangu yalinganishi na wanadamu, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Neema imeniweka huru, Yesu wewe ni mwema lele. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Hakuna linalo kushinda juu na chini, Yesu wewe ni mwema Baba. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Ulinipa jina wakati nilikosa jina, Yesu wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wacha niimbe wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Unatenda mema maishani mwangu Mesia, Yesu wewe ni mwema. Unanipenda Mwokozi, wewe ni mwema. Ulibadilisha hali yangu nikawa jinsi nilivyo Mesia, wacha niseme wewe ni mwema. Juu na chini hakuna linalo kushinda, uwezo wako ni wa ajabu. Agape upendo wako ni upendo hauna mwisho. Nimeonja mapenzi yako, nimependwa nikapendeka. Erokamano nyasacha kumuhera ni mimia kukumba na maluyonge. Niliweka tumaini langu, tumaini kwa wanadamu. Sikupata msaada kwao, msaada ni kwako Mungu. Tumuinue Yesu kwa ajili ya upendo wake, ametutenda mema. Yesu haya wacha dole mikono juu. Yesu ametuinua, Yesu ametubariki, Yesu ametupenda, Yesu ametujalia, Yesu anatenda mema, Yesu anatuinua. Sijawahi ona mwanaume amemtegemea Yesu akakosa mbona ushindi wake. Haleluya. Pendo wa Yesu unainua, kipendwa na Yesu unabarikiwa, kipendwa na Yesu wangu
And from that, we still continue with Entertainment Thursday. Like I promised you, we still have another conversation, a big conversation. I promised you to stick around, and I promised it wouldn't be disappointing. Introduce. Let me allow you to introduce yourself.
Nilizaliwa huruma bless
nine mana huduma
asani huduma
kwa Yesu kuna raha
na katika na chuchuma yo it's your favorite boy Mr. C and I'm live.
And you're live from the mother station.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Sid? How are you doing?
I'm dope.
You're dope?
Yeah, I'm good.
How's life?
Life is good.
Life is good.
And I enjoy it.
Clearly it is good. Let's start from what you are currently doing.
Yeah.
What are you currently doing? You've already done it.
Yeah.
The Black Child album.
Yeah.
Your first album.
Yes.
Umekuwa kufanya ma singles hapa na pale. Tukianzanga na Papagodo. Grow.
But before Papagodo nilianzanga na kingine hapa Kenya kwa icheza.
Na kajulikani.
Kaitwa You Called Me.
So let's talk a bit about the album.
Yeah.
Black Child. Maybe you can start from what informed you to get to a point of carving or creating an album from singles all through.
You know,
and Juliet's song from his album The Black Child. Before you took that musical break there to just listen into one of your songs, you were telling us about this album Black Child, and we wanted to know nini aswa imefanya ukaona let me just get an album 10 songs in there, nimekuwa nikifanya single wacha niangushe kitu.
I wanted to do something different and then pia nilikuwa nataka kujichallenge kama msanii because album ni important sana kwa life ya msanii. Yani ni achievement hiyo, like compiling 10 songs kuzirelease at once si mchezo. Mimi nimeanza kupanga hizi vitu since last year. It take like 2 years kufanya ndio nikuja ni release kitu kama hii. So nikasema let me challenge myself as an artist, and now I was ready to do my album. Mimi mwaka before nifanya album nilifanya 2 songs. The first one ilikuwa Pigani Yange na Sailors. The first song nilitoa hii mwaka. And then now the second one Ndoa. Then from hapo nikasema now I'm not releasing singles anymore. Let me work on an album. Yeah.
Why specific the name Black Child? Because that in itself, mtu akisikia tu jina Black Child, kuna a lot running obviously in people's minds.
Yeah. Black Child ni kwanza that name nilichukua from my cousin anaitwa Bamdogo. Msanii alikuwa anajiita hivyo kitambo, so nikaona the first time niliona hiyo jina was like this jina iko na a lot of meaning in it. So vile niliamua kugona the name Black Child, nilikuwa nataka kutell a story, ni different stories from different people put together, like the struggles za Mwafrika, the struggles zile hata from before colonization. Tumekuanga na story, hata wazungu wanakanga hivyo, wanataka tu kusikia stories za Waafrika, nini ilifanyika, mulifanya nini hivyo. And then nika bring it to current situation whereby mimi nimegrow ya Mathare na Huruma. So nilikuwa nataka pia mimi try to tell my story vile life history yangu imekuwa. The only place ama the only platform naweza tumia kutell story yangu na watu waisikie, wa receive na positivity na ikuwe like a lesson na try ku pass to my generation ni through music. Kasema let me put this together. Jina ndio na kitu nataka kuwork nayo. Then hata ukiangalia the cover itself ni the royalty, the African royalty. Ya kitambo. Kiangalia niko hapo na mtoe wangu Gold. So nilikuwa najaribu kuambia say I am the current and this boy is the future Black Child.
You just picked my mind because I was about to ask you what's in it having your, I think there's a post I read and this is your, of course all your songs are good when they are your favorites, but there's something about this particular one and perhaps you might play it. Tell us a bit about you.
Usiniache ni wimbo
Pagodo, you know you have a story.
So your time I don't talk about the things that ni very few times nimeongelelea story yangu. So imekuwa an amazing journey si rahisi.
But at that point, we'll talk a bit about it. At that point, after umesha release Papa Godo na emoji, there was, umeanza kuhit, but to some extent we don't quite know you very well, because there are some things they concealed about you. First of all, even identity, because for it to get to a point where tunakuita a Nigerian artist, I mean, we should have just known this is a Kenyan artist from somewhere in Mathare and try to come up. How did you deal with that? Because unapata for most artists, it's actually a thing. Even for upcoming artists, nimekuwa na hii idea, nimeandika wimbo, na try kufanya collabo na maybe wasanii wenye washabobea, and then to some point it's like they don't recognize me, they just let me be, mnanijua but sina kakitu, it's a lot.
Mimi, I think nilijijaza tu nikatafuta the who is who mwenye hiyo time. So the first interview nilifanya ilikuwa Insider. So
it was big in those days.
Nilienda hapo kwa Tamima nikamwambia mimi ni msanii wa Kenya. So acheni kushinda kuandika mimi ni msanii wa Nigeria. And she really helped me, by the way. Alinisaidia sana. Kari yangu na kuanga grateful sana kwa Tamima. Tamima Ibrahim, scholar wa mjui. So akanichukua akaanza kunintroduce kwa high school. So hapo kwa high school ndio sasa tukaanza connect na my peers. Jua anajua by the way mse ni Mkenya na ako shule na anaimba na imba yake imehit. So from hapo tukaanza kupick from hapo. So one time another thing that really helped me kulikuwa na show ya Kaleche Mumo na Shafi. So wakacheza ngoma wakamaliza, and Kaleche was like, this is the biggest song from the MOG blah blah blah. So Shafi akamuuliza, hiyo siku by then nilikuwa nasikia hiyo show. Ilikuwa ya asubuhi. Shafi akamuuliza, mbona mrecognize umse ameimba verse 1? And umse ndiye amecreate wimbo, ndiye ameunda hii wimbo. Jina yake ni gani? Sasa ndio akafanya research akajua jina langu. Akasema this guy is, sasa from hapo sasa ndio akaanza kunimention, and that time they had the biggest show. So kunimention sana ndio pia ikanisaidia. So nikatekea advantage. Tu sikuwa na do. Nilikuwa na make sure naenda mahali popote kuna performance, naenda mahali popote naona kuna nini naenda, until ile the first time niliwa meet ilikuwa show hapa KCC. And they were like, hiyo siku Emoji brought me on stage, it was like a surprise. Ilikuwa inaitwa Kiss My Vits. Nikaenda nikatokea hapo, and kila mtu, like all the big presenters wale nilikuwa naonanga, mimi hata kuna mtu yote alikuwa ananijua, they came out to see who is this kid. Walikuwa hapa mbele, akina DNG, Caroline Mutoko, everyone walitoka huko vile nilitwa stage, they came. So from hapo nikasema, nilishuka tu hivi, by then nikashuka na simu yangu kabambi. Nilichukua namba yao kila mtu hapo. Nikachukua. So from hapo ndo sasa nikaanza kujipush, nikitoa wimbo na wapigia. Hiyo siku hakukuwa na YouTube, ni CD. Toa wimbo na wapigia na wapelekea CD. So they started playing me. Na ile nisaidia.
So would you say that at that point, that song Papa Godo was much as ndio ilikuwa wimbo yako like ya pili, because ulikuwa na nyingine umetoa na tulikuwa tunaijua na bado tuijui perhaps, but was it your biggest breakthrough? Na kuanga so grateful for hiyo wimbo. It changed my life. Na pia Emoji, they really pia wali change maisha yangu sana, because they introduced me to something that I didn't know that naweza fanya, so Papa Godo ilinisaidia sana. Mja kuna watu wanafikirianga ukishaanza kufanya interviews kadhaa, ukishakuona kwa YouTube na ma views na likes, you actually have money. But people don't know this side of being an artist.
Ni struggle, man. Ni struggle sana, we take our time. We invest a lot in music, and sometimes unaweza invest and then you get nothing, Sa zingine inakuanga frustrating sana. So many artists wako into depression because of that. Because sometimes you might have a big song with nothing, haikuingizi kitu yote.
Tunakujua tu.
Behind the scenes una struggle sana, and that's hiyo ni kitu shani happen in life.
Yeah.
They knew me. My name was big. Nilikuwa naenda show na huwa vibaya sana. But nikirudi home.
Unalima show.
Nikirudi home napata nimewekewa kifuli kwa mlango. Unaona? Tengine na sina food. So then naenda naweza ishi tu kwa mtu anadhani mimi niko sawa, kumbe I have my issues, you know. Na hiyo ilifanya mpaka hata nika stop.
Yeah, for 2 years.
Msanii, for like 2 years nikasema by the way me I'm done with this thing. Sitaki kujistress hapa bure. So when I got another chance to make a comeback with Kumbe Kumbe, nilichukua and I ran with it mpaka leo. Yeah.
But see, just going by that, yes, you took some time, you were off music for 2 years because of the real challenges that actually are there. But some would tell you, unajua kama hii muziki, kama ni, how do they put it? If it's inspired, if it's God inspired, if it's actually something that God put in you, then you don't need to stop. Some would say that.
Unajua kila mtu akona story yake na beliefs zake. Sasa pia mimi nilikuwa zile za God, kama ni wewe umeniita hapa, ni wewe tu utajua vile utadu. By that time I was so bitter. Nakumbuka
in these 2 years.
Yeah, I was. Yani, and then nilikuwa na esteem issues vibaya sana. Nilikuwa naweza jifungia kwa nyumba the whole week. Na sina food za hiyo. Nimekaa tu, I was living in Ruaka. Nimekaa tu. Kitu ilikuwa na keep going ni movies. So movies, sio ni jua, sifanye nini. Siendi kuona mabeste, niko tu. Because I was so bitter, because I'm like, some of my friends, they are doing well. And some of them maybe nilianza before hao, and they are doing well. So I'm like, kweli mimi nini sina? If it's music, I'm creating good content, you know. Yeah, nikaka unajua kuna kitu poa kama msanii ku realize strength yako na kujua vile journey yako na God iko. So me I came to understand that me I'm meant to be in this for long term, you know. Mi si ule mtu wa short term. And blessings zangu na breakthrough zangu ni zile zinatekingi step by step, time. So I need to be a patient person with God. No. After nikarealize hivyo, sasa nikateka break, gambia God, mi nao nimewacha wewe, ukifeel ni yangu ni sawa. Do you know for those 2 years nilikuwa na Kumbe Kumbe?
You had written the song?
Nilikuwa hadi nisha record.
Lakini uko umerelease.
Nilikuwa tu nimekaa nayo, I just playing. Nilikuwa mtu akinini na mweka, "Wewe hebu sikia wimbo." Juu ndio ilikuwa transition yangu ya from the Nigerian accent to now the Kenyan vibe.
Yeah.
But sasa sikuwa sure nayo. And mtu alinisaidia kuandika ngoma ilikuwa Moji. So Moji alikam studio, tuka vibe, tukaandika nini, akani help sana. So nilikuwa tu na wimbo. Nasikizisha tu watu. Mtu akiniuliza, niliwacha lakini unaweza sikia. So after hapo sikuwa najua that song itakuja if change life yangu pia.
Oh, okay. Now let's go back a bit kwa hiyo aspect ya depression, because let me tell you, as in, art is not as easy as people think. And you see, I like to say all the time that art cuts across. It could be poetry, it could be theater, it could be acting, music all together. And then you know the biggest problem with art is that we will always know you. Because kama ni TV tutakuona kwa TV, kama ni theaters tuna theaters tutakuwatch. Then there's always that narrative, mtu amefanya shows ka 5, ngoma ka 10, mbona ana pesa? And you see that that's why most of these artists, they would go to depression, watakuwa depressed, and people don't understand what's wrong with you. In this point, or in these 2 years when you were at your lowest, who are these who are reaching to you? Because to a point where you're still here, alive, kicking, giving us content, someone was there for you.
I had, unajua mimi sikuangi mtu wa crowd. Watu wengi. Na hiyo kuka hiyo peke yangu ilinifanya somehow nikakuwa like an introvert, you know. Napenda tu my own space nini. But I'm so grateful to some of my friends, like 4, 5, 6 of them wenye nilikuwa naamka juu ilifika point tukahamia sisi wote place area moja. So nilikuwa naamka najua by the way kama ni struggle ya food tuta struggle na maboys. So staff ku struggle peke yangu, nikistruggle peke yangu inakuwa ngumu sana. So and then my Nemo was there. By the way she was
Nemo ni first lady.
Yeah. Alikuwa ananipush sana. I was like, oh, sijali, ani encourage. Don't worry, nini. Tunangangana pamoja. Sometimes alikuwa anatoka hadi kwao na food ananiletea home.
Wow.
Anafanya nini? One time aliniongezea do ya kija when it was bad. So amekuanga there, and then I have few people. Yani I don't know. Sasa hata ndio najaribu kukumbuka. Umefanya nikaanza kukumbuka hizo stories, so na try kukumbuka the journey and how it was.
Yeah. But it's the journey. The journey is what makes the artist and builds the content. Yeah. So as you try to conclude, Sid, because there's actually a lot to talk about, but time in a decide otherwise. The album that you released, just very, very quickly, the cost of it, because again, like you're trying to say, wasanii wengi wana feeling it's too expensive, I really can't do it. And yes, it might be, but there might be some steps at least that artists can take.
Yani unahitaji kukuwa na dedication, kukuwe patient na whatever you need, and then pia kuwe focused, you know. Mimi ilinisaidia because nilikuwa najua, by the way, you know, before ni compile hizi 10 songs I had like kama 20. So I was like recording every time. Anytime napata chance ya kurecord na record, because I wanted, kwa kichwa wangu kuna kitu nilikuwa nisha create kitu nataka, you know. So and then it meant take pia a lot of teamwork. Yeah, you need people around you, watu wa kusikiza, watu wa kusikia this is nice content, this one cannot do good. Yeah, you.
Dedication, teamwork, persistence, consistency, it's all you need. It's not as difficult as how it might sound. That is what Sid is saying. For artists who might really want to transit from singles to albums, that is basically what he is telling us. But hatujamalizana na yeye. He will be doing something from his latest album after this break. Stick around.
Marriage is quite serious and not to be taken lightly. Therefore, I refused.
You have to give your daughter a chance to make her own decisions.
Yes, I like him. Yes, I like him. I like him so much he makes me go crazy.
If you want to be respected here in my house, you have to show respect. Are we clear on that?
I believe that we should take revenge on one of that man's daughters.
I want to make this very clear that neither Elias nor you will get to decide when or where I'm getting married. Is that clear to you? No, I'm not going to marry Elias.
He is born!
Joseph, the exalted one.
Do you think you were given that gift?
What gift?
Does God really want to reveal the future to you in your dreams, brother?
Rachel! Rachel, my sister! Forgive me.
Joseph has blinded our father and stole your rightful place beside him. We must get rid of him at once.
If only we could, Simeon.
Why can't we? We need only to be alone with that traitor. Then we finish him off! Yes!
Unaona dim?
Yes, mawiti yani unasikia ni kama uko high.
Ni kama ndio.
Unasikia fiti.
Hii ni mali yangu safi, alafu inaenda chain huko.
Mali yako?
Unconditional ibe.
Baby sikufanya kitu alafu sikuwa najua. Ati nasikia nini?
Nini? Unamsikiza huyu. Sasa na wewe unaongea namna gani kama ujui hii story? Unakaa namna gani
Lakini madai ile tabia unafanya si mutuli, unafaa kuwa lendimbrianga.
Guys, there is this new product I am selling. Would you be interested?
What product?
Mind your business. It works wonders and it is good for human consumption.
Lucy is a cow. Okay, I've had enough for the day.
You bought a cow in Nairobi and you are all living in rentals.
Today you look very different and bombastic. Are you going for an interview?
I learned indeed and I passed with flying colors.
Oh, here we go again. Can't you guys keep private? This was private. You are just tap to anyone you think would listen.
Malizia, time for our last conversation and we move from music, entertainment a bit to some bit of lifestyle. We now want to talk about events and decor industry here in Kenya, what it entails to be in this kind of space for those that want to get into the kind of challenges they are in, how to navigate and deal with, and which better person than someone who's actually been here for a while trying to make us understand a bit about this. I have two guests in studio to my immediate right. That is Bernard Neseri,
thank you,
founder of Neseri Creations.
Asante sana.
And then we also have Abraham Mwangi, who works hand in hand with Ben. Sindio? Yes, let's just begin with you, Ben, because you actually are a trained journalist. Yes. Who moved to events,
exactly,
decorations.
Exactly.
How did that happen?
Yeah, it was very hard to navigate in the media industry.
Media sio rahisi.
Sio rahisi. It wasn't that easy, but I was working as a videographer in events. Most of the events we are used to go to weddings. So I used to be a videographer in weddings, and most of the time I could be sent to the wedding venues to shoot the clips for the setups and everything. And that's where I got interested in the setups and deco things actually. Hapo ndo nilianza kupenda story na decorations because I used to help those guys setting up the decors after I finish up with my clips.
So at least for you it's a different story. You know, most people that will tell you, especially those in the arts events, they will tell you, for me ni kitu nilikuwa nimeanzanga kwa nayo. It was a passion from nikiwa primary, high school. So for you it was the areas, the people that you were interacting with. Hapo ndio passion ilianza kugrow.
Hapo ndio passion ilianza kugrow because I used to love things to do with art and everything. So every time I could see the arrangements of the setup, I used to take photos, and I just got that passion and interest to do it. And I was like, one day I'll try. So for me, how I started, it was actually very funny because I was going to these wedding committees for like a videographer. So I had presented my quotations as a videographer at a meeting. Then they asked me like, do you know someone who can do deco for us for a wedding? I was like, yeah, I know. Then I was like, can you give us the contact person? I was like, we also do that.
Okay.
So, and that was my first time. I had never done deco anywhere. That was my first time. So from then I had to go back and start searching where to get this, where to get that, because I even didn't know people with the tent people, the drapings people, the flower people. So I had to go and research, look for those guys I used to help around, like, can I get tents, how much? And it was very hard for me, it was very tricky, but I tried to manage because I had not even done a quotation for deco. I didn't know so much requirements about deco, but I decided, like, I'll do it. And it was very, very hard for me because I underquote the quotation. And the day came, I was to do video, I was to do photography, and here I was to do deco. And it's my first time. I have to jungle between setup and videography and photography. So now the guys who are helping me out hata pia ni wageni. They didn't know anything to do with deco. So I was like, no, we just do like this, we just do like this. And actually we managed, though we went at a big loss, but at least we managed. So from there, I never gave up. I was like, if at all we manage that one, we'll give it another try. Yeah. Okay,
and we'll come to that in just a bit. That issue of underquoting, what actually happens that someone would get to that point they're underquoting. Quoting, is it lack of mentorship, lack of proper know-how of the business or industry? Before I get to do that, Abu, you work hand in hand with Ben. At what point did you actually realize or just think, by the way, deco events ni kitu tunataka kufanya?
For me, at first tulianza kuwork na Ben back in 2016. Hapo alikuwa nafanya deco za church when we had events like the meetings, Easter meetings, conventions. So hapo mimi sikuwa nimetake serious. Ningekuwa naenda hapo na msaidia like kubeba the safety pins and that.
Mtu wa mkono sasa.
Because kazi yake ilikuwa poa. So after hapo back nilikuwa in high school. So back in 2018 when nilikuja Nairobi, so hapo nikaanza naye akianza kwenda event ananiita, like siko na take serious. But sasa venye ilifika 2019 kazi naye ikakuwa mingi kwake. So akaanza kunipatia like ananituma kwingine, mimi naenda hapo, niko peke yangu, yeye anaenda kwingine. So passion naye ikaanza hapo, nikapenda. Kuna wengine hasa wakakuja like before me na nikaanza kuwafunza. So ilikuwa back in 2019.
So it means that sometimes when you look at events, deco industry, just like music, kuna aspect at which kuna at some point where people don't take this thing as serious. You are actually one of them. Nini why na happen that people don't really take this kind of industries so serious?
Najua watu hawapendi like kazi mingi, and deco events ni kitu very tiresome. Una spend your time mostly, maybe hata the income utapata baadaye haina income. But sasa sisi kitu venye nitaka kuwa serious about it, sikuwa nataka tu like ikuwe a business to my side, but naweza saidia society in a way that pia hao nikiwafanyia event and what itawasaidia hao. I can create job opportunities to others. Also pia mimi neza kuwa manager kwa sababu nimesomea human resource. Si ati ni kitu nimefanya event. I'm just from human resource. Then I shifted to events
and deco. Okay, so hold it right there. We'll come back to at least expound on this business and industry in just a short while. But for now, I want to cross over to the Serena Hotel, where the ICT Secretary General, that is Joe Musheru, is presiding over the Media Council of Kenya launch of Industrial Placement Program. So let's cross over there and listen in.
Media performance has come under scrutiny from time to time over the professional conduct of its personnel. But with the media, there is an even bigger burden of expectation placed on you because of the crucial central role that you play in our lives. There is a good reason why your profession is referred to as the fourth estate. It is because you play such a critical role in the balance of power in any system of governance. You have the power of the pen, and like has been often said, the pen is mightier than the sword. The implications, however, is that you will use your pen responsibly to become the voice of reason when things fall apart, to paraphrase the popular book by Chinua Achebe, You must remain the disinterested arbiter when others have fallen by the wayside. You must not take sides or even be seen to be taking sides, because your profession is anchored on objectivity and non-partisanship. The media is a key pillar that should hold others accountable, not because you have an agenda you are trying to achieve, but because you have a higher calling to be the voice of the people. You must at all times be the unbiased party, the umpire, whose role is to ensure that all are playing fair without taking sides. The media have the power and a huge responsibility to the populace to not only keep them informed and entertained, but to also shape political discourse and guide them in making the right socio-economic and political decisions. As research has time and again shown, people place a lot of trust in the media, and what you say is oftentimes taken as the gospel truth. That is why I'm reiterating that with power comes a huge responsibility to your audiences. This responsibility, however, goes beyond just reporting what is happening, but goes a notch further, since you can help shape the destiny of your country as well. It is a cliche that is well worth repeating, that media workers determine the quality of information gathered and disseminated by media outlets, and therefore broadly influence the audience perceptions. In the recent past, the expanding digital space, emerging technologies, and the COVID-19 pandemic have also immensely transformed the Kenyan media landscape, both in terms of structure and professionalism. This calls for relevant adaptive measures. As a ministry, we are keen on seeing high professionalism in our media outlets, guided by provisions of the Media Council Act of 2013, and specifically by the Code of Conduct for the practice of journalism in Kenya as enshrined in the second schedule of the Act. I call upon media sector players to ensure that media personnel are well trained, equipped, and provided with a conducive working space. This will address issues of professionalism and in adherence to journalistic ethics, besides ensuring that standards and safety of journalists is not compromised. Ladies and gentlemen, our young people face numerous challenges in accessing jobs after graduating from college. Most are not skilled enough to undertake competent media work, making most media outlets not keen to uptake this otherwise multi-talented group. There is therefore need for skilling of journalism graduates with requisite skills needed in the newsroom and other areas requiring media expertise. During training, immersive internships are essential to successful outcomes after graduation of our young people. It is important that media trainees access opportunities where they can apply and develop the academic concepts they have learned in the professional settings as well. I would also like to add that industrial placements provide graduates with opportunities to develop their knowledge of workplace collaboration, character growth, business etiquette, and strong communication tactics, which are among the vital soft skills that can only be learned on the job. And in this way, internships will empower the young people who are just starting off to build their profiles, besides teaching them instrumental, career-building qualities. I am pleased that the MCK has seen the need to set up infrastructure and extend support to promote and strengthen working relations between the media sector and training institutions in Kenya. I commend the Council for supplementing government initiatives to ensure that our youth access job opportunities through training and offering skills development opportunities to young graduates as well as a way of preparing them to be industry ready. So, ladies and gentlemen, the lack of a functional relationship between media industry and academia in the sector has frustrated the attainment of practical industrial exposure that is critical to skills transfer and progression of students in journalism training institutions. It is sad that students seeking industrial attachments in this extreme are sometimes forced to pay for a period they should be lucky to get a space. This initiative by the MCK is a step in the right direction, and it's moving us into a better situation. I would like to appeal to other media stakeholders and development partners to support this initiative, as this will ultimately contribute to availability of opportunities for millions of our graduates. I also take this opportunity to assure the media in Kenya of the ministry's support to press freedom and in creating a conducive environment for media operations. I want to reiterate that my ministry is committed to supporting the Media Diversity Fund as a way of enabling the industry to respond to the current financial and professional constraints faced by our media industry. I support the initiative that is taken by the Media Council in setting the media standards and ensuring compliance with those standards as set out in Article 34(5) of the Constitution and promoting press freedom in the country. I call upon the media to reciprocate by practicing responsible reporting. I also appreciate the industry efforts to tighten media laws that seek to enhance professionalism in the media and ultimately promoting press freedom in Kenya. So with these few remarks, I now officially launch the Media Council of Kenya Industrial Placement Program. Asante sana and congratulations. Let me end by saying that this initiative is making a difference across the country, and I will take it upon myself to continue to push for more budget so that we can have more students and others be able to get these internships. I think my job will even be easier because it's fully in line with what our President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, wants us to achieve. Creating the jobs, creating the opportunities, skilling our young people so that they can be able to grow Kenya, so that we can meet our objectives of Vision 2030, being a knowledge-based economy, and the many things that we're doing now, even on the digital space, the jobs that are being created. If each of us combine and we are able to bring our youth these opportunities. For example, right now we've got almost 900 young people that are working in the judiciary, doing transcription, doing scanning, and helping our judicial process move even faster. I mentioned the Presidential Digital Talent Program interns who are also coming in. But even outside of government, we now have over 1.2 million young people working online on the Ajira Digital Program. And this can be expanded. We are training over 5,000 young people every month on all the skills that they need to go online. And these skills range from many of the skills that you've already been taught in school. I mean, one of the most interesting programs we have is there are students here who are watching CCTV, security TVs in America and other places. And if anybody, for instance, in supermarkets is doing some mischief on the aisle, someone in Kenya is reporting, and that person is dealt with. But these people sometimes work at night because of the time zone in the US. And sometimes parents are not sure what they are doing awake at night, and they are sleeping during the day. Digital work is real work, and people are earning good money, and they will be able to move further. And so I'm also challenging the media to continue to expand. As you get these interns, please inject the digital skills that they need so that they can be able to use the different platforms and be able to make money not just for themselves, but for Kenya. I'm convinced that by 2030, we should, in this sector, even overtake tourism in terms of foreign exchange for our young people working from here, because we'll be the freelancing headquarters of the world, and they are working overseas using the internet, and then they are being paid directly. I think that our banks are already facilitating for them, and so there are great opportunities that are happening. And so let me end by saying I'm extremely happy that when we come together and we see the common problems that exist in the country, and we have that alignment, we are able to really move the country forward. And so, as I mentioned, we started at a very difficult time with the Media Council, but right now, we are partners, we are aligned, and we're moving very far. So that is our handshake. Asanteni sana, na Mungu awabariki.
As the Media Council of Kenya launched the industrial placement program taking place at the Serena Hotel, being spearheaded by the ICT Cabinet Secretary, that is Joe Musheru, a program that is set to benefit about 400 trainees from various universities and colleges. Clearly, our reporters are there covering that story for you, and we'll be giving you more details of that in our next program, that is News Check. But in studio, we're having a conversation about events and the decor industry. Time is not really quite on our side. We just have about 3 minutes. So what we will do, we will have this conversation come next week, just to better understand about events and decor industry here in this country, what it entails, what you need to know as a person, the kind of challenges they are in, how to build up on that kind of industry. In studio, I was joined by Abraham Mwangi. Actually, ndio hao sasa. To my immediate right, this is Bernard Neseri, who is the founder of Neseri Creations, and he also came with Abraham Mwangi, who they work hand in hand. Like I mentioned, because of time, we can't exhaust, because there's a lot to talk about. So we'll have this conversation next week to understand all of that. For now, we want to wrap it up. From me and on behalf of the entire team that made Good Morning Kenya a success, we say thank you so much for watching. Till next week, have a beautiful Thursday morning and a good weekend. Good morning.
I'm a baker, so I bake for a living. I just cleared campus in 2019, and then I started community development and social work, and then I furthered my studies to do a development studies degree. So back when I was in campus, I used to bake, but I really wasn't so